Welcome back to the Metropole Grid, the only Netrunner show which one Netrunner DB reviewer described as having bad formatting, niche effect, and was peak red sand cycle. Thanks. How's everyone doing? It is, I don't know the date, June 9th. It's my birthday in 3 days. How's everyone doing today? It is a Thursday. Hopefully you're doing well. Yo, Dan, how's it going? StimSlack, fix the notifications so now we see when Netrunner streams are live. Yo, hey, StimSlack, how's it going? Welcome in, Tanuki, Wave, how's it going? Hopefully you're doing well. It needs to be said, the numbers on this channel have kind of really started to go up. I have no doubt, again, we're just kind of on the wave of Tom Brewster's energy surrounding the Android Netrunner card game. So I didn't notice it was 6-9 today. Nice. Hey Derek, how's it going? Quite nice. But if you're new to this channel, if you're new to this game, I need to say this so many times over. Firstly, welcome. Glad you found this place. Hopefully it's been to your liking to some extent, but the biggest thing is if you want to get involved in this game, if you have questions, if you want to meet people, there's the easiest way to do that is to, well, one of the easiest ways, I suppose, is to ask questions, to get involved, say hi, not only to me, but all the other nice people who are watching these videos and talking in chat and stuff like that. I promise you, ask as many questions as you want. It's seriously my biggest joy. Dan, how was UKGE, by the way? It was huge as well. I reckon you weren't there because of the ocean, but how was it otherwise for NISEI? Shut up, sit down, boost definitely helps. Thanos, how's it going? Yeah, most definitely. But yeah, UKGE I think it just wrapped up, right? It was like the 4th to the 6th or something like that. Philip, how's it going? 60 more subs to 5K for you on YouTube. So exciting. Yeah, we're getting there. We just hit like 1 million views on the channel, I think last month. And so we're coming up on 5,000 subscribers. If we hit that, we're definitely going to do like a nice day-long stream on a weekend doing Q&As and stuff like that. Foldy, how's it going? Good evening. Cheers to a fun stream. Yeah, I'm hoping for it. We're going to be doing like, this is the pressure I feel right now is I want to take a couple streams and kind of slow it down and maybe even talk a bit slower, but more importantly, do startup, show how approachable to a large extent deck building is, or what kind of decisions people make when they do deck building, especially for a much smaller format like the startup format, which if you don't know, we have a button. Oh, I know why. Hold on. No, I know why. Okay, hold on. Oh, okay, that first, then this. Okay, so startup format is the smaller competitive format in Netrunner. If you see there, one of these images is technically wrong. System gateway should be the system gateway box plus the additional cards you can buy on top of it for deck building. But it's only those like 4 products. It's all NISEI stuff. Technically, that actually has the Midnight Sun booster pack in it, which I need to update the graphic. Probably shouldn't be showing that graphic anymore. But it is not a large pool of cards and they're all NISEI stuff, so they're all very easy to get. Of course, proxies are always legal. So we're going to slow down and we're going to do a bit of gateway today. The deck list of the week right now isn't a gateway deck. There's probably a lot of questions to be asked if you're just new to this game wondering what the heck this is, because this is not one of the standard 3 factions. Dan says it was amazing. Booth was packed all 3 days. Biggest circuit opener and big startup event on Sunday. Basically sold out of gateways. Whoa, like awkward sold out or like perfect sold out? Like people are coming to your door and asking for them and you say like, sorry, or perfectly stocked? I guess both of them are considered a success. Gateway or startup? I probably have been saying gateway a couple times when I meant to be saying startup. That happens. This is going to be a good onboarding. I meant to say startup. Perfectly sold out by Sunday. Okay, that's actually the best you can ask for. Fancy efforts, Derek. Glad you like it. Let's check what that is. So there was big tournaments. UKGE was the UK Games Expo in Birmingham. There was just this last weekend or so. Yeah, just about. I want to see if, are they on Always Be Running? I guess so, yeah. Standard circuit opener. And I don't know if the other one's up here. This is a good website, alwaysberunning.net, and people post events on them and post event results. You can see things in your local area. If you search, show map, and you can kind of see what people have been playing. And if people are nice, they can actually link their deck list. So you can click on this and it'll take you to the first deck that came in first at this tournament, which is really cool. I don't think we recorded numbers for the Sunday startup event. Yeah, that's totally fair. I've never been to the UK Games Expo, but I actually haven't been to any like convention which is more board game focused. I'm assuming the UK Games Expo is. I'm not sure if there's a big video games presence there. But I don't know how much time people spend like sitting down playing events and stuff. I guess it's like Gen Con, right? To some extent. EarthHub.net is also amazing Netrunner resource. Yo, Foley, that's one of the better ones. Maybe ask Dan about it. Oh, Near Earth Hub. Yeah, this is definitely needs to be plugged. I think NISEI did have a link for this on their article. No, let me try again. Near Earth Hub.net. As they're welcome to what's happening? Oh no, it's happening. But basically this is a website that just conglomerates links to different Netrunner things you need to know about. So Jinteki.net, NetRunnerDB always be running at the top, Project NISEI, of course, some good videos, and then community resources. Some of the most important ones I think are Green Level Clearance Discord, which is the Discord largely for newer players, and it's a great way to like meet people in your local areas, ask questions, tag at mentor to go find a game with somebody who can teach you the ropes on Jinteki.net a bit easier. I think that's a fantastic thing to do. I know it's a bit daunting, but I'd recommend y'all getting into that if you want to. And then some other stuff, other resources, it's quite good. Probably update the site to include the shut up and sit down video. Yeah, I reckon you should. Yeah, why not? Yeah, quite cool. Okay, we have some NISEI news. We're going to be starting with the deck list of the week. I just turned off the air conditioning and closed the window, and I'm going to start regretting it. Hey, Frank, how's it going? This is Algernon Chela, which is a really interesting Atom deck. It seems a bit wild. It's playing a couple cards that you don't see very often, if at all. Actually, there's a whole bunch of cards here that I don't think I've ever played. So let's talk about what this deck is going to do, because it has a lot going on, but it has some weird missions too, which is quite interesting. It should be updated to include the hats. Two things on the hats. Firstly, the hats, as of like 2 hours ago, have been pulled off NetRunnerDB as of 17:23, which is like an hour and 20 minutes ago. Another thing that's actually, yeah, boo JNet patch. Another thing that's really cool that I noticed is now they do have the update log for NetRunnerDB at the bottom. And this was updated yesterday. So there's a couple things. They moved the update log, fantastic. But I think this is one of my favorite things is you can add Z colon as a valid search query. So if you don't know, when you're searching cards, there's a syntax that's actually pretty universal across all the DBs on the internet. So if you want to search for a certain faction, you could write F colon criminal, and it'll show you all the criminal cards, just like this. So if you want to search up certain cards, that's a good way to look it up. But a big thing is if you're a newer player and you're coming to this will show you every single criminal card on this website, which is a lot. It's since the original 2012 Netrunner release core set. So if you want to do something like Z standard, like it says on the front page, this will narrow it down to the standard card pool. That's still a lot of cards. But more importantly, if you want to search startup, the format, you notice it's only 40 criminal cards. So just about any time that you're searching, and you could do this anyways, I think on the advanced page, if you're looking for a certain card, you want to say like, oh, I want a criminal card. I wanted to see what the programs are. You don't see drop down menus on the stream. Sorry about that. But then you can do, can you do format here actually? Is there a way to do format on this page? No, there isn't. Oh, awkward. So if you go to, this doesn't actually matter. If you go search and then you append here Z standard or startup, excuse me, that'll get you there. I used to use Z current. Is that the same thing? I think so. It might still exist. Current is just like the current rotation, which would be weird. No, what is, oh yeah, these are the 24 programs. This is current is the same as standard. It's modern rotation standard. Hey Macaroni, how's it going? How's Friday? Okay, cool. That's definitely worth noting. There's a bunch of tricks you can learn on NetRunnerDB to get better at deck building and looking at cards, and so much time is spent, I know for me. I've been getting to some other card games this year. I got into Lord of the Rings LCG pretty heavily this year so far, and I spent a lot of time on RingsDB searching things to be like, I wonder what dwarves decks look like, and then I search all the dwarves decks using this sort of syntax, and then that kind of inspires you to build something. That's a really good way to use NetRunnerDB. You obviously can go to deck lists and search and look at deck lists and get inspiration and net deck and stuff like that, and I really recommend it too. If you're a newer player, I cannot recommend this enough. If you're a newer player, go to the deck lists if you can. You can go to select allowed packs up here. This is a bit of a hidden button, and hit startup if you're playing startup. And you can just search, or you can search a card that you like say you really like as McCaffrey, and you can search this. And then you'll see people's decks that have been posted. And not only are they posted in probably good decks because they've been upvoted and looked at and scrutinized publicly, but there's conversations and then there's write-ups where people say like, this is how you play this deck. This is your gameplay. This is your synergies. Like, this is a fantastic write-up. And you can easily build this yourself, go out and play. You can copy this to Jinteki.net. There's so many ways to do it, but like, this game is already very difficult as it is. So starting with a deck that provably functions is a huge help on understanding how to play the game well. This game has two big parts: building a deck that's cogent and also playing it in a reasonable way. And just taking, you know, jumping over one of those walls and having like a good foundation is, I would highly recommend it. It is really intimidating, and you don't know why you're failing a lot of times if you just don't get success. You can't tell if you're playing poorly or if your deck is just unoptimal. And this sort of thing like really helps you get to the point where your failures are clearly your own, so you can sleep harder at night. Cool. Looks like you're entertained, Mr. Strimmer. Yo, pick one. How's it going? Macaroni says, went to my Netrunner meet last night, but there were no time for Netrunners because someone brought Guards of Atlantis too. What is that? I don't know what that is. We got to play some Netrunner in person last night. We were playing some Arc Nova, and then I was like, do you want to play some Flesh and Blood? Because we have like, you know, common decks. And I pulled out the wrong box. It was full of Netrunner. We're like, wait a second. And we just played System Gateway, and I died to an Orbital Superiority. Good stuff. Okay, in-person Netrunner tomorrow. Rhode Island players, hit me up. Oh, sick. That's really cool that it's in-person play coming back is such a big deal. Here in Montreal, we have an event on the 18th, which is just next week. So hopefully see you there at the Silver Goblin. You can find all the information on Always Be Running. Baited. Okay, this is a strange Atom deck. It has a lot of weird includes. Firstly, this is one Atom card that I've never played before. I guess the big thing that has to be answered is, what is Atom? Atom is a mini faction. Back in one of the deluxe sets, I think it came out around 2015, 2016, if it was my guess. It's called Data and Destiny. That deluxe set on the runner side introduced 3 mini factions to the runner side. So if you're getting into Netrunner right now, you're probably pretty used to Criminal, Anarch, and Shaper. That is the majority of everything that exists. But then they introduced 3 small mini factions. One of them is Atom, a Biroid, a rogue Biroid who's got sentience and starting running for himself. It's a really cool design. Atom starts with directives, which give you benefits and drawbacks, and you can choose to break free of those directives or protect them and work with them throughout the whole game. There are 2 others that are quite interesting. Atom actually is, and the mini factions were like a really weird space because they were really adored and loved because they're flavorfully really fun, and they have their own sort of unique strengths and that are very different than a lot of the other factions. But actually this past year in 2021 at Worlds, these decks were incredibly competitive. An Atom deck almost won Worlds. Sunny decks are also very competitive this year as well. One of the other mini factions, Apex. Okay. So it's a really exciting time to play Atom, which is quite fun. Jingles, how's it going? Oh, Frank, just got Arc Nova. Can't wait to play. Let me know how it goes. It's quite something. I'm very, very, very enamored with Arc Nova. Macaroni says it's a big MOBA style board game with tons of flashy minis, all of which have been painted. Like a CMON kind of thing? Why is there 2? There's a first one out already? Orbital Superiority Giga Chad? That's the one I'm thinking of, the neutral one from System Gateway, right? Apex. Yeah, Apex. You can play Apex, I guess. Yo, Seabass, how's it going? Jason, also, I played Atom at the recent UKGE. He's a lot of fun. He's really fun, and he's quite good right now. You see a lot of the Atom lists. You can look at the Atoms list that came out from Worlds this year. They're fun. I think they're a bit tricky to pilot, but like that gives you a lot of player expression, which is something that I definitely value in the decks I choose to play. But they're quite solid, and they're quite flexible. It's actually really easy to change pieces of the deck to be able to respond and exceed in different metas, or succeed, excuse me. Apex has some really good cards to not play in Apex. Yeah, tell me about it, Rakatha. Just gonna try and fly from Australia to Toronto, make Worlds this year. Will you be there? Most definitely, Jinglis. That's really cool. We'll talk about Worlds at the news break in the middle. But yeah, basically, NISEI has said Worlds is going to happen in person this year. The dates are, I think it's the October 8th, 9th, and 10th. Unfortunately, it is Canadian Thanksgiving weekend. But it's just in Toronto, which is like 6 hours away from where I am. So I'm excited to see everyone there. Apex may have the highest percentage of his card pool being competitive cards of any faction. I don't think that's true, actually. I don't think that's true, Rakatha. I think Atom is like, because Atom is competitive, like we'll probably, like all the directives -1 are competitive. Emergent Creativity is, Logic Bomb really is. I don't know, his console really is. Toronto about to be drowning in Tim Tams? That's the cookie from Australia, right? I will bring Tim Tams for anyone who wants them. Okay, fantastic. Not to like, you can buy Tim Tams here, but no, not. We're very excited about it. There's a fun Reddit post of why someone had made a bunch of custom Apex cards. Yeah, Macaroni, I peeked at that. I don't think I read them all or remembered them, but I looked at someone posted like, you know, a display of like 5 different Apex cards, and that stuff's really exciting. David Live, how's it going? Welcome. Bring the fancy flavor Tim Tams. Yeah, here we have like chocolate and then regular. And maybe caramel. I don't. I'm not a big Tim Tams fan. Maddie's a big Tim Tams fan. Okay, so Adam things that are happening in this deck. Weird things are happening in this deck, and this is an Adam card that I have never ever played. It's the Beautiful Flowers for Algernon. It's a unique program that says when your turn begins, you may pay 2 credits to gain a click. So you're paying 2 credits for a click. That's a bit expensive. You really want to be making sure that you get more than 2 credits worth of value for the click, obviously, which can be quite difficult. Luckily, this program costs nothing. But if you do that, you have to trash Algernon when your turn ends if you did not make a successful run this turn. When we're together, I feel like I can do anything. This card I've seen it never hit a table at all. Getting clicks actually is kind of interesting in Adam, but getting clicks at the beginning of your turn is not as useful. There's a lot more cards that Adam will play in their deck that get some clicks when they want to get clicks. But the idea of having a 5-click runner is technically attractive. It makes it a lot better too if you run the Adam directive that makes you that lets you leverage clicks to break subroutines. It's the one directive that nobody plays. It's always be running, I think it's called. So that's kind of interesting, but on its own, it's kind of pretty niche. And this deck actually runs a lot of different ways to gain clicks, and a lot of them are actually a fair bit cheaper than installing a program and then paying 2 credits and then trying to make a successful run. So we're looking at Amped Up in this deck too. So it spends a click to play it. You take a brain damage, which for Adam is not a really big deal. Adam decks can get to huge hand sizes. This deck only runs 2 brain chips, mind you. A lot of times you want to play 3 just to get one down as soon as possible. But you don't mind that when your hand size is like 9, taking a brain damage really doesn't matter. And this gets you 2 clicks for a turn. On top of that, we have other ones. Beth Rain Chang, the best card to give you clicks. Get this down. Hope the corp has a lot of money. You're having 5-click turns. And on top of that, we actually have an Adam card that I have seen some niche play in Adam. I've seen it. That's what I'm trying to say. Which is Temple of the Liberated Mind. And this one actually I like a fair bit more than a lot of the other click adding cards, because this allows you to get the click when you need it at instant speed. And that's a really big deal when you look at one of the best Adam cards at 5 influence. You have Logic Bomb, which allows you to bypass an ice. So don't break any of the subroutines. Nothing happens. Hopefully it's not a Nancy. And then you lose all the remaining clicks. That's a problem, because if you access something that gives you a tag or a trap or something awful, you have no clicks left to react in the turn. So that's why Temple of the Liberated Mind, allowing you to gain a click at instant speed after you've lost all your clicks, is actually a fair bit more beneficial than Algernon. Most times. But the big reason why it looks like we are playing all these click gain cards is because we have a single copy of Liberated Cella, kind of a meme card. I've had a lot of fun playing this in dedicated Shaper decks, maybe 2-3 years ago. The idea with Liberated Cella is it costs you 5 clicks to get this like Enlightenment, and then you have to forfeit an agenda to add this to your score area as an agenda worth 2 points. So ideally you score a 1-pointer and you trade it for a 2-pointer. There used to be ways to add 0-point agendas into your own score area, which made this card way more exciting. But the corp can forfeit an agenda to stop you from doing this. So it's very hard to win with this card, almost near impossible. But if you get it early enough and you have your 5 clicks because you're Algernon, which you're going to lose because you didn't make a successful run, you can add this to score area sometimes. And forfeiting an agenda, ideally we forfeit a Kasi String, a card that is abstractly seems really powerful and really fun. It basically says whenever you make a run, is it the first time? Yeah, first time each turn, a successful run on a remote server in which you don't steal an agendas, you get a power counter on this. I think that's a text. And if you have 4 or more, this becomes an agenda. Even in a meta with a lot of horizontal decks of the last, it was a more common thing many, many years ago, this card sees no play. Because generally against those sort of matchups, you're not struggling to get to your 7th point as much as you're struggling to attain strong economy and trash their assets that matter. Getting this agenda point generally does not matter a lot in these matchups. So we'll see how it goes. But that's a big thing. Otherwise, we have some good staples in this deck. Like there's some really strong stuff. There's some really weird stuff too. We have all this click gain stuff, but only one big payoff card, and you only can liberate Cello once, right? Because you have to. You add it to your score area, right? So that's gone. We have some interesting things. We have an Amakua, which is great. We have a Marjana, which you don't see a lot. This is the System Gateway Fractor. It's pretty expensive to deal with the big stuff. You have a Revolver, which is really weird in this deck that does not have any good way to recur this card to play it over and over again. Once the chambers are empty, it's kind of all you got. And then you have 2 Mayfly, which is pretty good. Otherwise, you have a multi-threader for some cheaper breaks. You have RNG Key, which is easier to play in Adam. You'll see once we see the directives. And then you have an Independent Thinking, which is a card I've also barely ever seen in Adam. It allows you to trash your installed cards to draw more or trash your directives. A lot of times your directives are really good, so you don't want to do that. And then you have some resources data folding as a credit per turn. You have access to daily casts, but we're playing this instead. Daily cast is more money faster, but not infinite. We are not playing any of the infinite money stuff, which is like so common in the competitive meta right now. Things like Rozeki, things like pad tap, and they're pretty easy to play when you have a lot of MU. I guess so is data folding. And we have one copy of Light the Fire. We have no big economy. We have slow economy of Smartware Distributor, a card I really don't care about, but we don't have any of the bigger heavy hitters. We don't have a lot of card draw. We have no Earthrise Hotels, no daily cast, no liberated accounts, no Rozekis. I think we're going to struggle. I would not say this is a competitive deck. This is going to be like a fun deck to see if we can do our cool combo. Let me catch up on chat. If they released one card for each mini faction in the next set, what would you want? Oh, that's a pretty big question. I don't know if Adam really needs much. I think getting another directive in Adam, because the problem right now is Adam has 4 directives and basically one of them just doesn't see play. I would love to see a 5th directive that actually makes the first directive that doesn't see play interesting so that people actually can change their directives based off the matchup. That would be really exciting for me. Unfortunately, it doesn't really exist. So Adam, you don't really have a decision at the beginning of the game, barring like maybe one matchup where you want to run every turn, but that matchup doesn't exist anymore. For Sunny, it's kind of hard to say. I don't know what Sunny needs. She lost her current, which is annoying because then she's actually down a card. I would love things that can cause more traces on your turn. I think that's really fun. I wish the traces were more important. Maybe you can get back an in-faction, what was that, power tap in Sunny? That would be kind of fun. And for Apex needs a lot of help. Eventually Chopbot's going to rotate, so we need to get something back for that, because without Chopbot, Apex is like really quite difficult. I'm definitely at work and shouldn't be on my phone, but I'll watch the VOD. Taking Worlds, absolutely down to grab a drink with anyone. Hey, Jingless, fantastic. Hey, enjoy your work. If they, excuse me, hey, Andrew, sadly not going to be able to make a Worlds in person. Toronto's a long way from Sydney. Oh, yeah, I hear it. That is kind of like, to some people, the downside of Worlds being in person, but I have no doubt there'll be a Worlds that makes a bit more sense for you at some point. Surprised there's no Deep Dive in here. Yeah, Deep Dive would make a lot of sense, Seabass, with all the clicks. That's a card that really gets value for having extra clicks. Are the mini factions rotating this time around? They're not going to rotate for another year or so, because the Order and Chaos rotates now, and then the next rotation, which should be in a year, will be Data and Destiny. So they're around for a while longer. It is worth noting that while these mini factions are really exciting and the darlings of a lot of Netrunner players, NISEI, so I think they've publicly said they're not going to be making any mini faction cards. So you're not going to see an Adam card in the upcoming set. That being said, NISEI has done really well to print cards that the mini factions can excel with. So things like, what's it called? The Mind, what is it? DreamNet, excuse me, is so good in Sunny, for instance, or technically playable in Apex, actually quite good. It's the kind of thing that it looks more like NISEI's doing. This is impossible deck building. No, it's weird. Hey, Giles, how's it going? This deck just looks super weird to me. I'm not really understanding the Algernon. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of just leaning into getting enough clicks to do the Liberate Cella. But the big thing looking at this deck is like, we just do not have money. We do not have money. It's a really important thing when you're building a deck to ensure that you have a modicum of cash, because not only do you have to trash cards, you have to install your cards, you have to pay for breakers. And if you look at the economy cards in their deck, we have, oh, we also have Stim Dealer. I totally forgot about this. Let's see how many clicks we can get. But in terms of the economy in our deck, we have Smartware Distributor, which is quite slow, Data Folding, which is really quite slow. Beth is kind of an econ card. Sure Gamble, Dirty Laundry, Overclock. That's it. That is, I think, about a third to a half of what the economy you should generally put into a deck. So this is going to be a bit rough, I reckon. Yeah, it might be painful to play. That's okay. We'll get through it. Yo, Aaron, sup nerds? How's it going? I guess Toronto home turf, you got to protect that in a couple months, so no pressure. Good evening, Alan. How's it going? Apex needs a 5 influence virtual Temujin contract that also draws you 2 cards per run. Oh my god. Sunny needs like an in-faction career fair, but for hardwares or programs. I miss Modded. I wish Modded did exist to some extent. Modded was a card from the original core set that was 2 influence instead of the career fair's 1 influence that said you can install a program or hardware, reducing the cost by 3. We have career fair for 1 influence, and if Modded was 1 influence, it would see so much more play. Oh, Dan, you fell for the trap and you added Restream Bot. Uh-oh. It's going to be some fun things at PAX Australia this weekend too. Oh, that's super cool. Okay. That weekend, excuse me. Oh yeah, yo, Macaroni, you're totally right. This is the big part. Another card that doesn't see a lot of play. This is Adjusted Matrix. And this is, we're going to run into some big issues here. But Adjusted Matrix says, you can spend a click to break a subroutine. So this does a couple things for us. Firstly, cost 5, which is a lot, but it means that we can spend our extra clicks to break ice. This is definitely what this deck is trying to do. Now, there's one thing that's really important is you have to interface with the ice to be able to use this to break subroutines. This text should say interface on it, which means that we need something that is going to boost strength, which may be why we have Revolver in the deck, because Revolver boosts strength cheaply. But the problem is if we run into like a 5 strength thing that we want to click through with Adjust a Matrix, we have to pay to bring one of these up to strength. And Marjana is not great at doing it, and Revolver is a bit better at doing it, but it's, you know, it's a problem. A lot of times when people use Adjust a Matrix, they'll attach it to a card that massively already has strength. I think the highest strength program or breaker we have right now is Endless Hunger, coming in at either 10 or 11. 11, right? So if you Adjust a Matrix and Endless Hunger, which unfortunately is 4MU, then you're clicking through everything. There's like no ice that's bigger than 11. I feel like in the deck, there are very few times where I wouldn't chuck a click into the void to gain 2 credits, so I can't really do the exact opposite. Yeah, we're doing the exact opposite. Gabriel, no hats tonight? Yeah, I'm kind of excited about that. Modded is like easy mark, but worse. No, what? It's not. And I can't tell, Aaron, if you're goofing with me. It's so much better because it's save 3 credits and install at the same time. So it's like gaining 5 credits, right? Like 3 credits and then an install at the same click. So that's like, it's so good. I don't know what you're talking about. We might be getting something like modded, but one influence. I'd be excited for that. Hey, Parallel, how's it going? Surveyor? I guess so. Yeah, I guess Surveyor, but people don't really play Surveyor at that strength. Apparently, one of the Midnight Sun cards is kind of a functional reprint. Oh, cool. I miss Endless Hunger with dinosaurs. Feels bad, man. Easy mark is 3 credits. Mod is 3 credits plus 1 click. Thanos. Exactly. Yeah. No, I like it a lot better. Another thing with this deck is it doesn't have a decoder. I think in the deck list they talk about how running into like if they triple advance a Whoredom that you can't break with an AI, that's a problem. But like that seems pretty niche. Okay, I just want to know if they're running safety first. If brain damage is threatening to your health, don't be afraid to independent thinking away your safety first. I don't think, we're not playing always be running. Without the always be running. Okay, cool. Surveyor and Ginger's a thing. It's a thing, but it's like pretty niche. It's not something we're like very worried about. And in those matchups, we're actually pretty good against HQ pressure. Gonna say this deck clearly needs a Shiv. Yeah, Robert, how's it going? Shiv isn't in the standard format, so we couldn't play that. But we just need something on high strength. I don't know what's the highest strength thing right now. What are the chances Eric shows up to destroy the jank of the week? Now that we've baited him out, pretty high. Pretty high. Algernon Chella. We're standard. Adam. Paste. Save. Bloody cactus evening, friends. Evening, how are you doing? Oh, for breaking code gates. Yeah, I feel like at that point we'd rather just run something that is like, you know, permanent, just so we're not worried about it. But that being said, Robert, I have played a lot of Geist back in the day, and if you ask me, Shiv, Spike, and Crowbar, what they break, like which one lines up to each, what's it called, to each subtype of ice, couldn't tell you. It's the same with, actually, Sunny's breakers, I can get 1 out of 3. I know Sherman breaks barriers, but then the other 2 is kind of a guess. You need to tidy up your collection of decks. This is history. This is going to be recorded. Yo, Sangren, how's it going? Glad I made it back in time. You streaming it already? Oh, definitely. Most definitely. This is Grunkov. I'm making fun of Eric. Oh my god. Okay, good. I didn't recognize you. How's it going? Playing Adjust the Matrix and not playing Puffer? Ooh, Puffer is good too. You just click that a bunch. Hey, Eli Ra. Just discovered NISEI and played my first matches versus friends this week, and your set reviews are very useful. Keep the nice work. That is very kind. Thank you so much. I am so excited that you got into this game and then you're like engaging and talking to people. That stuff is so important. I would love to hear everyone's experience. Again, there's a lot of people getting to Netrunner right now, but to hear everyone's experience about like what's difficult, what would you want to know more about, if we can make content to help you, all that sort of stuff. But hey, very kind, very kind words. Thank you. I actually got you playing a deck of the week. Guess that is that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, gotta play this one. Best of luck. Have fun. Okay, so we're playing against a Asa group. They're generally pretty efficient, as HB can be, and can be pretty quick. So we don't have a lot of time. Like our data foldings are not going to pay out before the game can be over in the worst of scenarios. Again, we don't have a lot of money. Our opening hand having a sure gamble is better than most other else stuff we could get. Don't really know what else we'd want to get on turn 1. A Beth would be nice. A daily, what's it called? A data folding would be okay. Playing an open deck list. I don't know what that means. That is a bit cryptic. I might get ganked, huh? I'm gonna mulligan this. I don't really, an early leech is okay. This actually does work with the adjusted matrix. A temple liberated mind early doesn't, and no, we'll keep this. This is probably fine. If they keep a central open, we'll jailbreak it. You will see real soon. We're gonna get ganked into a brainstorm. It's gonna be terrible. He needs to publish more decks and get more deck slots. That is an issue. People getting spoiled by deck slots? If you're playing Hearthstone, this would be molding. Yo, you can't have 19 deck slots in Hearthstone. It gets confusing. Xmas Baker just got the email that my NISEI cards have shipped. I'm so excited to get started. Yo, that's so cool. Getting physical cards is not something that happens a lot in Netrunner as a recent. So really enjoy it and cherish it. Getting to look through all the cool new stuff. Is Brainstorm still legal? Yeah, it is. We got flatlined by one a bit earlier this year. We knew what we were doing. So I'm worried about, so the big things that we're worried about, Ganked is an upgrade that says when you access this, the corp can trash it to make you encounter another ice on the server. This is really weird. Now we don't have a boomerang, so we could get in here if we have, what's it called? If we would had a logic bomb. Now I'm worried that this is going to be like res NGO front into something else. The weird thing about our abilities, let's talk about our directives. This is really important. We start with these. So the first one, safety first, says our hand size, maximum hand size is reduced by 2, but if we're under hand size, we get a free draw every turn. That's actually quite good. This one's really important. It says when you run HQ, you see 2 additional cards, or sorry, you see 2 cards the first time each turn, but you have to trash cards. No, that's not right. The first time you access a card with a trash cost, you have to pay it if you can. But when you access HQ, you see an extra card. And this one's the most important, the newest and exciting, most exciting one. Whenever you draw a card, we have to show the corporation, not our opening hand, but after that. And the first time we make a successful run, we get a peek at the top of R&D, which is really powerful. So we're going to go HQ. We're going to see 3 cards. We might have to trash some things. I'm not worried about this. We're going to see the top of the deck as well. And that means that there's an agenda on R&D. We know to run it. If it's not an agenda, we know what they're going to draw and we know not to run it. We could have considered putting down the leech actually here. It's a seamless launch on the top. Okay. A seamless launch in hand. We drew the logic bomb. A sandbox. That's fantastic. That's 2 points. And an off-world office. Did they mulligan? Oh, wow. Okay. So that's kind of good. What are they jamming here? Like we could just logic bomb run the remote server. Yeah, we should have installed the leech first, but this play now opens up to this where we can run server 1. And if it's a 5-3 agenda, we win. Now, if there is anything really scary, we can logic bomb it, which is quite good. If it's a Hagen, which is a common thing, we don't care. If it's a drafter, it's not that important. We know they have a seamless launch in hand and probably not a 3-2 agenda. Oh, a 4-2 agenda they could score out. Urtica Cypher? Urtica Cypher, I would say unlikely, but we could die to an Urtica right here. That'd be kind of fitting. It's an NGO front. That tracks. Okay. So it looks like you don't see a lot of NGO fronts in Asa group decks. So it looks like they're going to be playing with Big Bunny. So I'm expecting Big Ice. Not if the 5-3 that cost a click. Oh, that's totally true. If it was an Iqua project, we couldn't steal it. But I'd still try and force a run there. Like they only had 3 credits. But yeah, that's good to play around for sure. Or the GFI. Yeah, it could be a GFI, but like we're going to be on game point then. So they drew up twice. Again, if we run HQ, we do see 2 cards. So they generally want to ice this thing up. At this point, we're a bit scared of Brainstorm, which is an ice that if we hit it, we take as much brain damage as cards in hand, which can be an issue. Luckily, we do have this panic button, so we can always run and just kind of run away. My major problem, not really problem, just I'm new, is trying to build corp decks. I feel like runner is closer to the standard TCG experience. I think that's true. I think that's quite true. Oh, this looks like ganked any day of the week. I'd say that's probably quite accurate. It is trickier. I talked about this a bit earlier today, but LA, I think LA is probably how I'm saying that. I would recommend net decking. Like go in Netrunner DB, search for a gateway deck, search for a startup deck, and try playing a corp deck that people have posted and talked about just to understand what a good deck looks like. It's one of the easiest ways to learn like what kind of ratios of economy and ice should I have in each deck is by seeing what other people did. Okay. Cat's out of the bag here. That's a brainstorm. When the runner encounters this, it gains do 1 brain damage subroutine for each card in the runner's grip. So we have to watch out for ganked. Luckily, Logic Bomb actually lets us deal with ganked loops as long as we keep one in our pocket. Revolver also works a bit well too. We draw 1. They know that we have this dirty laundry as well. And I'm just going to put down the revolver. It gives us a couple bullets so that if we are scared, we can always shoot the brainstorm. It also means that we were under our hand size, so we get a free draw at the end of turn. That's a lot of protection for 2 untrashables. Wait, sorry? Yeah, we know there's 2 seamless in HQ. Then there's a ganked and something else. We could Kasai string for victory. We could. Yeah, if we get another 4-2 or any 2-point agenda, we could technically Cassie string. It's kind of hard because I don't think they're going to go horizontal, but we could do it. I don't IAA GFI turn 1. Riquetta, I think they might actually would have considered it, considering what their opening hand was. Because I thought at that point they mulliganed to 3 ice and they just have to jam one so it looks like a GFI. Like I would probably IAA a 4-2 if things were really rough. If I had 3 agendas, like maybe you do that. But that being said, they probably could have just iced up HQ. So I don't know. I don't know why they didn't ice up HQ. Like they iced up the NGO friend instead. My friend has been having a lot of trouble playing Corp. Even the starting deck, she's been getting a lot better at, but she's now lost 8 games in a row. I think Corp is a lot more difficult. I recommend to learn the game on Runner because I think it makes more sense. But Corp is definitely very tricky. And there's like so many small things you have to learn that really improve your Corp game plan. One of the big things is ice positioning, understanding, and specifically in System Gateway, where not all ice are made equal, where you should put certain ice, right? Like if you have a Brown 1.0, you need to put that on your scoring remote 9 out of 10 times. That's so important. Understanding that's really important. Planning your turn as a Corp is a lot of times more important than a runner as well. So there's a lot of things. Can I post an imager link? You can try Jazz. I think it should work. Oh, I could recommend a really comprehensive Corp deck list for say Argus. Yeah, I've seen some good stuff. That's probably the brainstorm, but they did draw twice between it. If we draw now, we can emerge in creativity. I just don't know what we're getting, right? Program or piece of hardware. Yeah, I don't know what we're getting. And the thing is, like, brainstorm has too many subroutines. I guess it doesn't with our hand size. Let's go archives. Get the brain chip. Oh yeah, we could get the brain chip. That's probably good. I forget. Top of the deck is a Cobra. Pretty mean. Is a Sentry. Yeah, I think we will just get the brain chip. So this, for 2 clicks, we can toss out programs or hardware. We're not gonna. We're just gonna play a bit extra for a brain chip, which increases our hand size and increases our MU. So now our MU is 8. Our hand size should be 7. So now we will be getting a bunch of free draws. Maku is actually gonna be quite powerful if they don't ice up everything. Toronto bound. John, how's it going? I'm excited too. Jazz, what is this? Last swag, but very nice swag. Okay, I'm opening imager links. Woo! Is this from UKGE? This is all the good NISEI stuff. That's the good NISEI stuff. Yeah, these are all the NISEI promos of like last year or so. What's the story behind this? Oh, did that just come in the mail from Worlds and stuff? Playmat doing a thing. Just go down to 0 cards in hand and run R&D. It's not the worst, but we do have to watch out for Ganked Drafter, and we have to watch out for Ganked, what's it called? Ganked on Cell 1.0. But yeah, if we have no cards in hand, Brainstorm doesn't do anything. A lot of times the right thing is to let it fire once and then just break it the second time. As an enthusiastic average player who's been around for a couple of years now, I think the main thing that would be helpful is really missing, and really is missing, is out loud explanation of decision making. I try and do that as much as I can. I feel like when we do replay reviews, and we should probably be doing more of those, we can nail that a bit better. But as much as possible, I'd like to. If you also don't understand, or like you think there's a different line, like definitely ask. Say like, hey, why didn't you do this? Why did you do this? And we can talk through most things. Amaku is like my fave card because turtles. I'm that kind of player. This is quite a strong card. It's actually a card that people were really upset with for a long time. Hey, Frisbee, how's it going? Someone got their prize support. Yeah, right? Yo, NISEI sent me like an acrylic Hashiko that I don't remember why. I think I won a raffle, but I just came in the mail. Why don't you win instead of lose? Well, we can't all be boring winners. Okay, remote server, they have 12 credits. We can force reses, we can logic bomb through stuff. This could be any agenda because we know they have 2 seamless launches in hand, so they can quickly score out. Other things that we'd expect to be in a remote server are Ganked, an upgrade, and also probably other defensive upgrades, like the one that lets them trash cards from hand to increase the strength of cards, of their ice, which is quite powerful. We are running to the issue where we don't have money anymore. If we install Amakua, it's quite good. If we get it up to strength, like we can deal with most things. So far, we've only seen low strength ice. So we can just play this and like run archives. If we see a 3-pointer, we can just win. Actually, we can't really like logic bomb into Iqua project. Advanced assembly lines. Okay. Yo, Gwen, how's it going? Hopefully you're feeling better. Stories APAC been waiting on prize support for a very long time due to multiple obstacles. All well that ends well. Oh yeah, that's true. That is true. I know the price support. I'm just going to build up some turtle counters and some leech counters. They have sandbox. They score sandbox in server 1. We're like massively blown out here. But I don't know what we're doing for credits. Like we probably want to credit and get that down eventually. We're getting a free card job, but like our economy's gutted. Sangren says, Andrew, I haven't done one in a while. Once I feel like I have some interesting games, I want to go back to making them, but I have a good number of replay reviews where I get talk through lines a lot. Yeah, Sangren's YouTube channel is really quite good. There's a lot of stuff where he talks through like exactly the decisions he's making. Do check it out. You can find it on youtube.com/YesengrenSC, or you just search YesengrenSC. SC being the letters, Yesengren being the name you see in chat. I also got the same Hashiko in the mail recently. I have no memory of what that was from. Right, Arizona, it showed up. I'm like, what is this? Oh, cool. But like, I don't remember what I did. You can't guy an economy that doesn't exist. Yeah, I know, but we'll get these down and click for credits. It's going well, getting stuff done this week, and went on a nice walk a few days ago, after which I went back there and painted rocks. Super cool. Glad to hear. It's good walking time right about these days. No, you're good. All good. For sure, your streams are great, and that's why I cheekily tune in from work when I can, but it's a hard sell for a new player. I get it. I think we should be doing a bit more content focusing on decision making, like on a, because like I'm doing everything right now. It's a bit tricky, but like to talk through all the lines. Yesengren has some really good stuff where he would do like replays, but talk with also like, not that Yesengren's a bad Netrunner player by any means, but like some of the world's winning players, like top 8 at worlds. Wow, that sounded like a backhanded insult. Okay. But yeah, good stuff. They said they'll deny ASA group trigger. We didn't even talk about identity. It says the first time you install a card each turn, you may install an additional non-agenda card from HQ. They don't have to tell us that they're denying it for what it's worth. But it's interesting. It's fine, Andre. I'm trash. You're not. Still waiting on 2020 raffle. Skip on bug NISEI. Also, hi chat. NISEI community feel very welcoming. They really are. It's kind of the best. It's kind of really, really good. For what it's worth, it's been like this since the beginning of Netrunner. NISEI did not make it worse. What's your trash cost? There's some jerks in chat. Yeah, I know. Okay. All right. So this could be a bait. I feel like a bait. I feel like we can just poke archives, see the top of the deck, set these down, click for credits. But this is the huge issue where like we're just running out of money. Like we just don't have economy. And now unless we get a Kasi string out, our like Algernon combo with the what's it called? It's not going to do anything. Yeah, this thing. Liberated Shell is not going to do anything. Like we put this down and click for credits. You see how little economy we have. Like if we had a daily cast, if we had liberated accounts, like if we had some way to generate a lot of economy. Now we can't just break about anything with a Namaku at 3 and 5 leech counters. That will get us most anywhere. We'll see. You know, I'm for sure not saying you must do XYZ for free to satisfy my needs. No, it's not bad. It's more so to understand what people want. Like understanding what would be helpful for people to get more out of this game. That's what I'm interested in. I'm not a performing monkey in that way. In other ways, maybe. Okay, so they rezzed here. This is a great card, a Tranquility Home Grid. It looks like there was an agenda there, so they were just being honest there. So double advance from a seamless launch, which allows you to put 2 advancement counters on a card that wasn't installed this turn. If that is a Cyberdeck's sandbox, it's a huge blowout. Luckily, it's not. Off-world office to gain 7. We knew they just drew a hedge fund. We know they have advanced assembly lines in hand, if I'm not mistaken. So, and we know a seamless launch in hand. So I don't love running HQ here because we know a lot of the cards. So we're just going to run archives and just keep looking at the top of the deck. This is not going to be very exciting. So Rashida Yahim. Okay. Now, a lot of times you want to force the runner to spend credits to trash things. We probably could consider running R&D just to trash the Rashida Yahim. The problem is if we end up spending real credits on it, it's quite bad. So I think we could consider overclocking R&D, but like our money is so bad, like it's so bad. I'm going to overclock R&D. The only thing that would be really bad is some sort of AI hate. I don't think we're going to run into that. Get the other data folding down. It's probably right. I'm just going to do it a bit slower. I just don't want them to get a Rashida on top of all of this. If they don't res here, we will lose the 5 credits on overclock. We'll at least spend 1 on the Rashida. Why can you see R&D running archives? So Find the Truth is a special Atom card that says whenever, or sorry, the first time you make a successful run on any server, we can look at the top card of the deck. So it gives us obviously an immense amount of economy. What's the deal with this deck, Gwen? It's weird. It's about getting extra clicks so that we can do a Liberated Cella. I don't think it's particularly gonna do anything. It has way less economy in it than it needs. So we are just gonna try and struggle and hope that we went off the top. It's the deck list of the week, so it is what it is. Get all the smartware distributors down, you'll be swimming in money. Great. We drew into a second overclock. They, of course, know every card we have in our hand if they're paying attention, barring the Temple of the Liberated Mind. So we have to keep that in our liberated mind. Yeah, we have directives. This one is the most exciting. And people actually spent influence to get this card into their standard non-Atom decks for 3 influence. This card was quite powerful, especially for some Anarchs who are wanting to run a heck of a lot and run cheaply. The idea is you can check an asset and then at the same time see if you need to run the top of R&D. Quite strong. If we find an RNG key that gets better, the interesting thing is they didn't res R&D, so we might just be able to get like free runs. They played the hedge fund, so we know their hand, they did draw once. Yeah, so they just drew. So we know their hand has a seamless launch and advanced assembly lines, and then I think 3 question marks. One of them could be a brainstorm. I'm assuming it's on the table. That's probably the advanced assembly lines. So I'm not that interested. Okay, that's a bit more interesting. Tranquility to draw a card. Drawing last click is a bit awkward. Like a lot of times if you want to plan your turn out, right? So you have the most cards in hand to make the most decisions. So if they installed maybe sooner, they could have drawn. Maybe that actually impacted them because they drew a card that so they decided to double draw. Find a Truth and Ken isn't too bad. 17 influence. Yeah, that seems okay. We're just going to run archives, get 2 counters. We're going to hit a Cyberdex Virus Suite at some point, which is going to ruin us. I think that might be a thing. If they have a Cyberdex Virus Suite in a remote server, like we are, well, at least we have a Logic Bomb as backup. It's a ganked. Fantastic. Yeah, not very exciting. Install, credit. Just not enough money in this deck at all. Oh, Mad Dash. That's actually huge. If they don't have a way on the table to shuffle, if we see a 2-pointer on top of the deck, we can win. And this card is technically more impactful than all the Liberated Cello you could play. I wish Find the Truth would say reveal instead of look. I wanted to make a meme deck with 419 called Dial 419 if you want to know the truth. Give me like 5. I have a phone call. Okay. Oh, that's awkward. I guess we'll hang out for a bit. Yeah, that's the issue. You can see with this deck is that we just do not have money, right? Like we don't. We've played 1 gamble, 1 laundry. We have, I guess, 2 more of each of those. We have 1 more data folding, and then the smartware distributors. It's just not enough money. It's so easy for the corporation to put a card in a remote server. And the remote server, even with this amazing setup of Leech into a huge Amakua, we can easily spend 3-4 credits, let alone we have the trash things that we hit. So yeah, Thanos, we're going to play startup after this for sure. Maddie and I played Gateway last night, which I think a lot of people might be playing right now. Had such a good time. And we played the Gateway decks with the upgrades, right? With the cards with the little pluses, the advanced stuff. So you add tags, an NBN card to the corp stuff, and then the runner gets what's complicated, like Leech and like DZMZ. But like really fun, just really good fun stuff. Like bluffs, the traps are there. The fact that there's like a retribution means you can't always just with impunity go tag me. It's really fun. I feel like replacing the Algernons has got to be one of the first things done to this deck. Well, this is kind of the issue, is if you want to not fix, but if you want to tune this deck to make it like you're going to ship a Theseus until you're at the world's Atoms deck, like top 8 Atom deck, which is a very, very good flexible deck. It's a bit tuned towards an asset spam meta. I think that deck was specifically tuned to beat Gagarin, which is not a thing I think you're running into all the time in the JNet casual lobby. But yeah, that's kind of like you're going to end up at that the point of singularity. How's your Gateway AI going? I'm playing a lot of Chiriboga. I got actually a fair bit of hours into it today. So in short, if you don't know, Chiriboga is a nice website where you can play against an AI and play Gateway. I said I want to make an AI. I haven't been able to put as much time into it as I want to. I'm trying to juggle that and making the Netrunner set and then doing all the other stuff I'm doing. I got a couple hours in it today. The part that I'm focusing on right now is to make a state machine. And I've had to restart pretty hard, pretty heavily, at least once so far, where I did not realize what I was doing. I do not mean to make a game that understands Netrunner, like plays Netrunner. I need a game in which you input what your opponent does, and then it tells you what you do. So I don't have to have a corporation that draws 5 cards, and then it knows what those 5 cards are. Those cards are blank cards. They're just card objects, right? And then once they install an ice, it's not like install Enigma on R&D, because you don't know what it is, or I guess not Enigma, like Palisade. So more, it just install blank ice card. And then once it's revealed and observed, then you have to change it. So the big thing at first is to make like the state machine, the actual game that can play everything. And I've been spending a lot of time on that. The recent like changes into it is realizing I should make server as an object on its own. I should make a run as an object. I should make ice, the stack of ice as an object, just so that's easier to use and easier to work with. So I'm going in and like changing all that. So now the calls get a bit complicated where you're talking about like, look at the corp state object, look at the servers, look at the server that's dictionaried as R&D, look at ice on server. So the calls get a bit long. I don't know if this is ridiculous, but this is how I was recommended to do it. Juggling Netrunner projects, welcome to my life. It's been really fun, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, and I don't have like, I need to sit down and do one thing. And I was so excited about making my own Netrunner set, and then realized like NISEI is going to have a new set coming out in like a month, and then on top of that, new players are coming in, so it's not a good idea to be like, here's some new cards instead. Like the timing soured it to me. Oh, Macaroni posted a link down there. Dave, can you see that down there? It's chiraboga.sifnt.net.au. How's it going, by the way? I want to make an AI. Is that Andre's way of saying they're trying for a child? Oh no. Bicklin, guess what? What? Huh? It's tricky. I'm getting there. I have not even touched the AI stuff, but I've spent more time thinking about that. It's Morbin time. Great. It's Morbin time. Wow, welcome to Twitch. I know very little about what this Morbius character is, besides that they're bringing it back to theaters as some sort of sick ransom. I don't know who needs to get paid out, but I don't think they're going to pay out. There's no way that having a meme movie in a theater is paying out. I guess we're getting to spoilers today. Yeah, totally. We have one spoiler. It's good. I am watching on YouTube and cannot see the website link. Okay. Do I open it in Notepad? I'm going to open it in Notepad. Apparently we have a second here. It's this. I know you can't see Notepad, but we have the technology. Oh, that's terrible. Hold on. Okay. That's it. chiraboga.sifnt.net.au. And if you're watching later on YouTube, just about every link we talk about will be in the show notes below. Just hit the description. We have all the deck lists, all the links, so it'll be there. But for now, that's where it is. Yo, Limes, how's it going? Did someone say scoops? Oh my. We have one card, I think. I don't think there's more scoops than that. How's it going, Limes? Morbius is a vampire. He's really cool. That's all I know. Back. Hey. All right. No, I don't think so. Sounds about 5. I think we're talking about, yeah, manhole threading. Bushi, I appreciate it. I very much appreciate what you did there. Got it now? Yeah, Dave, enjoy. It's really fun. Enjoy that all the IDs that start Wayland Consortium have a variation of the world built in them. Hey guys, do you think this is a construction company? The Wayland I'm building is a manufacturing company, which is great. Team Morbius. Another thing for beginners would be perhaps trying to explain decisions, putting yourself in the place of folks who don't have your card pool knowledge. Perhaps I just need to play more and learn them. Although for sure, hard to please beginners and folks who play a lot of standard. No, for sure. I know the one time that we put out like a comprehensive, which is like, it's a different card pool, unfortunately. It's like system gateway, not gateway. It's like the system update 2019 or whatever it was. I tried to explain it where I said like, in this matchup, we're going to pretend we don't know all the cards, but we're going to boil it down to keeping like 2 things in mind. So we were playing against HB, and HB has a lot of Biroids, and Biroids are pretty mean ice, but you can spend clicks to break the subroutines. So all we were saying in this matchup is, remember, that's going to be a problem for us. What happened right there? Remember that run sooner in the turn to click through ice. And I want to make content that's closer to that, where it's not like we have to remember every single card, but remember like Wayland has ice that trashes your programs. So don't install your programs until you need them, right? Stuff like that. Kevin, how's it going on? I've been trying to play this Breaker Suite and there's just too much virus hate. Yeah, I think we're going to run into a lot more problems than that. But yeah, as soon as they like get the sandbox on the Discord, or they get like a CVS in the bin, or let alone server 1, it's really going to be quite bad. Does it manufacture meat damage? No, it manufactures products. It's an illegal arms factory? No, it's like stuff you want, like goods. I'm selling it, right? Every time I'm doing something that's not therapy, it gets disrupted midway. What do we do? I think we need to run. I think we still run R&D. They didn't run res last time. We have 4 credits. We can break 4 subroutines, which means Brainstorm will take 1 subroutine. So I'm going to click for 1. Then we're going to run R&D. The issue now is if we see an agenda, well, firstly, if we trash something, we're going to be destitute. But if we see an agenda, we have to steal it. So Mad Dash is useless. They need to make a Wayland Arms manufacturer. Wayland built the blast. Oh, no. You know how I am about puns around here. I have a response. Respond away. Do it up. It looks like they're going to res the CVS, which is an upgrade that they can res for 3 credits. They'll purge all virus counters, which means we're going to be left with a revolver, which we can always break a lot of things. Humble, how's it going? Can't believe caught you live, even only for a break. Been pushing new interested friends to startup once they've had enough of Gateway. How's that transition been going? Also, welcome. We can res non-ice other servers. Yeah, totally. Either on approach or on encounter. Canuter counter. Both are totally fine. That's really cool. I think startup is a really nice entryway to like a format with a bigger card pool. You can't res on encounter? Oh, really? Or let's just say, no. Yeah, okay, there's a CVS. Oh, that was there. Okay, that's fine. We have bullets for a reason. Yeah, this is not a problem. Barely an inconvenience. So this has 5 subroutines. They just purged, so we lost all our counters. They spent a lot of money on this. This is the brain steamer. Yeah, we saw one of those earlier. So we're gonna, so this will do 5 brain damage, which honestly isn't the worst thing. Like it drops us down to 3 hand size, which is a bit ugly, but not the most ugly. If we lose any of these cards in hand, I don't think we're like too distraught. So unfortunately, like safety first is gonna hurt us. Like we want to run with no cards in hand because then there's not really much that can hurt us. Now, if we hit a ganked on top of R&D, that is a disaster. So we will match the strength, and then the question is how many bullets do we use? 1 bullet per 1 subroutine. It has 5 subroutines. I feel like we can break, let's shoot half the gun. Crack. Whoops. I threw the gun out. That is an option you have. Just gonna reinstall the gun. Okay. I'm just gonna match strength again. Should be on 3. And power counter. Crack. Is that enough? Sorry? Can logic bomb to be used on the gank? Totally. Yeah, it's our safety. I want to break 3 of these. I goofed this. How many did we break? Just do all 5? I don't want to do all 5. Sure. On your 4th click? I guess an assembly line or something, but there's no window there to react. I'm going to take some brain damage. I don't think we care. Done. So we broke... Oh, it's 5. No, we'll do 1 more. We'll take 2 brain damage. Okay. Like, that's the thing, is we have 7 hand size, so 2 brain damage is not that big of a deal. The gun is heavier when it's full of bullets. It's the best time to throw it. We lost our Kasi string. We lost our 2 worst cards, so I feel okay about this. We should be down 3 counters. I only shot... Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. You're totally right. Okay, yeah. Because we shot 3. No. Trashing it. I think I might have goofed it. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Okay. So we took 2 brain damage, which means we broke 3, which means it's half the gun. Yeah. Okay. That tracks. Yeah, I did goof it. All right. Now they have to let us through. All right. So we're going to see the top card of the deck before we access it. Doesn't really do anything. We can't really react to that. But it'll let us rebuild this. And once we have 1 of each of these, like unless there's another Cyberdex Virus Suite, like we're running through this for very few credits. So vanilla. Okay, that's phenomenal. It's 0 strength, so we can get through with Amakua. Ideally, we have no cards. Like we want to run with as few cards as possible just so that this does nothing. We have no cards in hand. This is like, it does nothing. It's fantastic. We could run HQ. The 5-minute phone break is a very tactical strategy because all information that we remembered about what was in their hand has been thrown out. So we know they have a vanilla and a seamless launch, and probably an advanced assembly line in this remote server. So the credit. Maybe they would just like to respond with you. We drew a Mayfly. This is also a nice panic button. We have 300 MU, so this is another thing. The problem is like all this stuff is like so low strength. So if we don't have leech counters, it's fine. Now we ended our turn, but they can still react before the start of their turn. So there's no window. Yep. It won't start yours until you hit the button. So they wanted to res the advanced assembly line, which allows them to install a non-agenda card so they can get something that has a really nice beginning of turn trigger and res it still at this window. So there's a huge window that's really important to understand that you can res things before the start of turn. So you don't like install something like a Pat campaign, or a Nico campaign. That's the gateway equivalent, right? Like don't install something and then res it immediately because you won at the beginning of your turn. You don't need that. Oh, there's a ganked. We knew there was a ganked, so there's a ganked on R&D. That doesn't matter. You goofed not giving the window? No, they have the window. There's a window before they start their turn. Search the chat scroll for HQ. It would be for R&D, no? This is gonna be ganked into what's the one that lets them throw out cards to increase the strength? Unless it's double ganked, which again, if we have no cards in hand, we don't care about any of that. So we're just gonna try and dump our hand, which is actually quite tricky. It's kind of difficult. Helheim servers, thank you. Yeah, that's the one. Hedge fund, okay. But yeah, this is a total slog. Like if we had economy, we'd be okay. But the problem is we get 2 credits a turn. We click for 4. I just want to throw out a whole hand. Could be troubleshooter. I guess it could be troubleshooter, but again, if we have no cards in hand, this doesn't do anything. Madjest just to take the damage. I think Seabass, it's probably not wrong. Like I think we install Mayfly and then like Mad Dash HQ. Again, just to dump anything on our hand, or maybe we overclock HQ. I think we want to do a last click. I'll just run archives on HQ until you see an agenda on R&D and the ganks do nothing. Yeah, you're right about the ordering. They don't do anything. We actually could take all this damage. The problem is with 17 credits, they can res just about anything. We could always bypass something. I'm just going to install this. I'm going to click for 2, and I'm just going to run HQ. Like, if we logic bomb it, so what? We'll have to trash something if we hit it. Whatever. Hard to see how you could be spending 2 credits on Algernon every turn. Tell me about it. This is bad to run last click. Oh, it's a Sisenton. Fantastic. So another really good gank target. They got to choose an option here. Honestly, if they don't pick event, we could just let this fire. The issue now that we're running last click is we can't react to the top of R&D. But if they pick anything besides event, we'll just let them have our hand. Actually, we kind of want to keep our Mad Dash. No, we want our Mad Dash. It's really important. I don't know if they're running real 3-pointers. Counting cards? Oh, no. Yeah, Aaron, I agree. We really want to keep the Mad Dash. So we don't have to win in 4 agendas, because this thing is worth an agenda point. And our deck is really good at knowing when the top of R&D is worth Mad Dashing. Arc has the Cyber deck, so sadly. Yeah, we don't want to run archives. We would still gain the Amakua counter, but we wouldn't get the Leech counter. Because this is when the run ends, right? This is when the run's successful, and then you hit the Cyber decks and then a purge. So ouch. I don't think that's true. I think they should know our whole hand. They should know our whole hand. They chose event. Okay, we're still gonna break it. 1, 2, 3. So we lower the strength. We break. We see 2 cards, or access 2 cards. We have to trash cards if we can. We see the top of the deck. A ganked here would be fine. Hedge fund, vanilla, cobra. No surprises. T400 memory diamond. Oh, we have the brain damage tech. Hey, Sean, how's it going? Hey, Andre, how you doing? Okay. This is also like an interesting card. It gives you additional hand size, which is more valuable at the beginning of the game, where you have a 3-card hand size because of safety first. So getting a 4-card hand is nice. Eventually, this will give us bigger hand size. Again, hand size is a liability against this deck. Wait, what happened? Where was that assembly line? So was it in server 1? It has to be, right? Install ice. Okay, it could be the vanilla. They're doing this before the mandatory draw, which actually there's no real reason to do that. Like you could draw, spend your whole turn, and like you just want to pop this before you put something else into server 1. There's no reason to do that before beginning of turn. It's in fact worse because you don't know if you're drawing into an ice off the top of R&D that you'd rather have on R&D. So that's either likely the Cobra or the vanilla. So we know Cobra, vanilla, seamless launch. They just played the hedge fund. So we probably know half of the hand, assuming this is the Cobra or the vanilla. So this is maybe worth running. If we get a second logic bomb, we can run this. I wouldn't say with impunity because of course the ganked could be a problem, but we know one ganked here. Wait, yeah, Dave, that AAL was on R&D, right? Because they had 2 cards on R&D. How did JNet let you install the advanced assembly lines on R&D? Know that when the ice on HQ is, you should be running. I know, 3rd. How did that happen? I thought I saw it on R&D for a second. I was like, that's just no way. I must have caught an animation while I moved from server 1 over to archives. Yeah. Yo, no idea how that happened. But advanced assembly lines is an asset. So you can't install it in a central server. I had no idea JNet would allow you to do that. Yeah, ASA trigger. Must not care. Wild. Never seen that. Yeah. New meta. If JNet allows it, it must be legal. Popping AL at the end of the runner turn actually could be correct because of ASA trigger. Oh, you're right. Yeah, there's a reason because of the ASA trigger, but like, it's niche. It's niche. I don't think it was going to matter that turn, but that's actually totally true. Because ASA trigger is once per turn, as you see in the top right corner. So if you're trying to really get it to go on the corpse turn or the runner's turn, no, it's no big deal. If you put it in the remote, that's fine. Yeah, that's super wild. So card in server 1 could be agenda. They have 1 seamless in hand. Again, we just want to keep running. This is only 3 credits for us to do. We just want to dump our hand again. I think we just install the memory diamond, run HQ, see the top of R&D. Now there's 2 ice, but again, I'm pretty sure we can get through that. The issue is like if it's a Cobra, no, we don't care. We just run HQ. We're going to see seamless launch and then Cobra or vanilla. It could actually be neither because both are out. I played the card I cheated using ASL, then ASA triggers. Meaning ASL should be in my... I'm not sure. AAL? I'm not sure. It's no big deal. I think it's more work fixing it than it actually matters, in all honesty. No, seriously. I'm just more impressed. Wait, what are they adding back to their hand? No, don't fix anything. It's fine. It's pretty wild. Steamed. All right, so now we're hitting the Saisentan, so they can name a type. They called event last time when we broke it, so likely they want to call event again. They do know we have a hardware in hand, but we want to protect our mad dash at just about all costs. As soon as we know what's on top of the deck, choose event. Okay, now we don't have to spend a leech counter, which is kind of brilliant. So we'll fully break it for 3, which is kind of our budget every turn. But we have to get really lucky that we see something on the top of the deck, because if they just draw and put into server 1, like I don't think we're going to be contesting server 1 anytime soon. Find the truth, top of the deck, sandbox. Okay, so we can win this turn. Seamless launch in hand and an assembly lines. We're forced to trash that. This game is funny. It's weird. Okay. So we know the top of the deck, unless there's this card in server 1, like a spin doctor that can force them to draw. It could not be GG, Aaron, if that's a spin doctor, right? The question is, how do we get through here? We want to have as few cards in hand as possible, which is actually kind of difficult. We install the memory diamond and then we can just tank through it. If it's a ganked, it doesn't matter. So I said GG. So with the logic bomb, it doesn't matter. The logic bomb we can just bypass. So I think we're just gonna credit mad dash. Actually, no, we should do credit mad dash, and then we can always run HQ last click if they do draw it. I'm not missing anything here, am I? The only issue is if they have a way to draw clicklessly, like spin doctor in server 1, then they can move the card from R&D into their hand. So. All right, 2 Amakuwa counters, 2 leech counters, 4 credits, and a logic bomb. That being said, if we logic bomb, it's not like we're going to be running HQ anymore. Oh, gatekeeper. Okay, well, that's a problem. We're going to have to logic bomb that. This is a big one. Comes in at 6 strength on the turn they res it, so we're going to bypass it. So we lost all our clicks. Could have just clicked for a credit. Funny thing is, if we let this fire, and then we don't seal the agenda because of a spin doctor, we will die to the meat damage at mad dash. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and break it. Again. So as long as we access the cards in our order, which would be the top of the deck first, and not the ganked probably on R&D, we choose the order. So we'll do card from the deck first, so we hit the sandbox. So no, wait, we have to survive the ganked? That's really funny. I didn't realize that we wouldn't win because this is at the end of the run. Oh, that's so funny. So the ganked here actually kills us. Oh, we actually do. We die. No. Yeah, we lose. No, I think we lose. Aaron, you set us up. Wait a second. I think you have this. Oh, gun? Yeah, gun. Gun. Any problem that's gonna be solved by gun. Okay, so now we're accessing the brainstorm. It unfortunately has 6 subroutines. So the best thing that we could have done is actually taken 2 brain damage. We should have not broken all of this because this continues to gain subroutines. So it has 6 subroutines right now. We don't have credits to boost it. We can do it. We're fine. We're gonna live. That, and then we do gun, and then you throw the gun. Perfect efficiency, and you take 2 brain damage because it's an important thing. Every time you encounter this, it continues to gain subroutines for the run, and so we'll live. Gun, good. Also counters, yeah, we need the leech counter. All right, we took 4 brain damage, and after the run ends, Mad Dash gets added. We're on 7. Okay, Kona chills. Bizzle, how's it going? Whew. Shoot your brain back to health. All right, continue. Oh, that's on me. All right, GG. Whoa, what a finish. I thought I goofed it real bad there. So I think what the best thing to do is that when you hit the brainstorm, when we think we're going to win, is we should have broken 2 of the subroutines so that when we re-encountered it, we had fewer cards in hand. So then the second brainstorm only has 4 subroutines instead of 3 to 6. We could have done 3 to 4. So we have less subroutines to break in general. I think that the math works out. I think. Never punished, yeah. Samwise, hey, crazy game. That was wild. I did not manage to draw a single agenda minus the 3 I started. If you ripped them all in turn 1, I would be doomed. I did not manage to draw a single. That's wild. Oh, that's wild. So it's things like this, right? Like sometimes you think it's just your deck that's goofing it up, but like I think if you don't have agendas, draw for agendas. There were many turns where our opponent was like just playing sure gamble when they were already on 14 credits, stuff like that. Like you don't have to do that. You can just continue to draw. I was surprised that you didn't ice HQ on turn 1 with the 2 agendas. We never figured out what the ice on server 1 was, right? Like it could be a brainstorm that they wanted to bait us into the run. Were you baiting the NGO into brainstorm on the remote? Because maybe if they had NGO into brainstorm on the remote, we might have ran it and then got surprise brainstormed, which is like kind of the cheese because we would end if we take 5 brain damage, we actually die because our hand size is reduced by 2. Throw in a corporate troubleshooter and you got a killing machine. This deck does probably run corporate troubleshooter, if not at least Helheim servers. Oh, that tracks. Very good. Very good. Okay, that's why. Shooters in remote 1. Okay, super cool. Knowing when to overdraw and when to discard is a huge thing to learn. So a really big thing when you're playing Corporation is understanding when and if you have a scoring window. The idea is that if their opponent has minuscule credits like we do, and you have 3 ice on the remote server, like it's really good for you to be like, I need an agenda now, so just start drawing into it. It's also really important, while they have expensive ice, the difference between them having 14 credits and 17 credits is not that impactful. So a lot of times that's the time where like I have money, I have a remote server, you just want to draw into an agenda and jam it. Like it's so easy to draw like a hedge fund and be like, hedge fund's a good card, I'm going to play it, but it's really important not to do that a lot of times. If all you need is an agenda, go find the agenda. The big difference between this game and like Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone or whatever is you can draw into what you need. You just have to spend most of your time doing it. Did you avoid a gank brainstorm today? Yeah, we actually did get gank brainstorm on the winning run. Luckily we threw a gun at it. Our 1 gun we had, and we got brainstormed once, but we had like 7 hand size, so we just took a bunch of it. Yeah, we ran through one of them. How's it going, Slimy? Okay, we died a Hokusai. There? No, we were fine. I do think we could have played around the brainstorm a bit differently. There is the Hokusai. Like, we wouldn't want to take all of it. I think we want to take 2 of it, because if they drew, we don't want to die to, what's it called? We do not want to die to a missed Mad Dash. So I think we would break all but 1. Okay, well, that's the deck list of the week. It's definitely weird. It's definitely strange. We did not get to show off the card that we've never seen Algernon, but I don't think it's a deck that really support it, considering the economy is just not there. Do you know why scoops are called scoops and not spoilers like everyone else? Ixaron, I really don't know. I think it's some like stim slack culture. I don't know. It's been like a Netrunner kind of a meme, like people asking for scoops. I do not know where it originated. Why do you always play the decks of the week? To bring down my Netrunner DB or my JNet stats. It's really important to keep yourself grounded. So most importantly, it's just like this sounds a bit shitty, but it's like it's the easiest way to new content. It's also the easiest way that there's a channel where if you want to play the decks of the week, you can go somewhere and watch somebody else play it or figure it out or talk about it, so that maybe If you're struggling with it, it'd be like, oh, let's see what Andre did with it this week. That's kind of interesting. It also forces me to play outside of my comfort zone, play new cards, talk about different formats. So I'm not just being like, oh, we're going to play Wayland deck for like a month. How's it going, Radish? Something Raisin Bran? What do you mean? How's it going? Hey, Mizuki, good game. I just pulled the tech options for Fast Advance. It's Double K's list. Oh, you removed Fast Advance. Interesting. I wouldn't know what that's like being humble. It's interesting. 2 scoops of raisins. Oh, is it from that? I see what you're saying. Something. You think it's because of Raisin Bran that we're talking about scoops? Talking about scoops. We have scoops today. Yeah, I think it's, yeah, Stoppable says, how's it going? Scoops is just weird. I think it's Stim Slack memes. We have some news before we're going to go into some startup deck building. It's absolutely because of Raisin Bran. The older I get, the more interested I am in Bran in general. I don't know. I think bran cereal is the best cereal, but not the raisin stuff. Like just regular bran. Like I don't want sugar frosted stuff. Just give me like President's Choice bran flakes. Ah, seriously, cereal of kings and queens. If you want to watch a middle tier Netrunner play their favorite deck every week, you can watch instead. You're saying I'll talk you up, you talk you down, and we'll meet in the middle. I forgot to say meow to you. Hello, Wayne. Raisins are goat. Raisins are good. Real talk, before we get into the important news. One of the best features, and I did not know about that before I moved into this neighborhood, is that somewhere around the corner is not a bakery, but a bread factory, right? So like industrial. But like once a week, they get to do the raisin bread. You stand on the street, the whole like 5 blocks in every direction reeks so strongly of raisin bread, like cinnamon raisin bread. It is the best. To go outside and it just smells like cinnamon raisin bread 1 out of 7 days of the week. It is so good. 9 out of 10. The guy outside is staring at us again. Can you get rejects from the factory? I don't know. I'm not actually sure where the factory is. I'm pretty sure I know where it is, but there's also like a language barrier where I'm like not too interested to go up to strangers and ask them strange questions in broken French. So I generally just say, thank you for the smell. Is a cookie factory within walking distance of me? Is it the It's not the Voortman. I grew up in Burlington and they have a Voortman cookie factory on the highway, and you can tell when you're driving past it. It smells really nice. It's obviously not that one. You don't live on that highway in Oakville, do you? Oui, lapin. Who is a better cereal than Bran the Raisin? Older equals more fiber required. I have been noticing that, but I feel like we're getting too deep into things now. Is it potentially from Hot Scoops originally, which I know is a thing back in the Idle Thumbs podcast? Donk, how's it going? I don't know. I really don't think so. But I don't know much about it. I do think it's just Raisin Bran and Stim Slack. The word scoop is from American origin, first documented in 1874 as a verb meaning to beat someone in reporting first. Actually, then how did it get involved in the raisins? That's where I should live, a cinnamon raisin bread factory. Gwen, if you can figure it out, you've got like a lot of your life sorted out already. Je voudrais le pain. Oh, you Peak Friends cookie factory. I like Peak Friends. Okay, important update. NISEI posted this as of a day ago. Oh wait, is this is new? I think vaccination proof when this article was drafted was noted as voluntary. It is not. It will be required to receive an event badge and be added to the tournament roster. This article has been updated. Okay, so basically NISEI was on the fence for the last couple months, having to make an admittedly awkward decision whether the Worlds was going to be this year in person or remotely. For the last 2 years, it's been online, and it's been a really fun time. It's very easy for just about everyone to get involved with the different time zones, kind of largely working out. Australia and APAC. But now it's going to be in person. And NISEI has been moving. So, history time. Worlds classically has been where you'd expect Netrunner Worlds to be back in the FFG days. Minnesota. It was at the Minnesota Game Center. Now it's the Game Center. And it's been there every single year. So there was like a large group of Netrunner dorks who would get into airplanes or cars or whatever and go to Minnesota every fall. Since FFG no longer makes Netrunner, NISEI had the idea of we can basically move around Worlds. It doesn't have to be in the same place, and we'll change where it is so different communities are better well served. As of 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago, when the pandemic really started, they said they wanted to get Worlds in Toronto, which is in Ontario, which is in Canada, which is on Earth, which is in Canada. So that got canceled. No in-person events has happened on that scale really from NISEI's side for a really long time now. And now it's coming back. We're still in Toronto. It's happening this year from October 7th through the 9th, which unfortunately in Canada is Canadian Thanksgiving. So for some people, that's a bit harder to get that time off. It's going to be happening in Toronto in, I think, the Sheridan or something like that. Yeah, Sheraton Center, Toronto, which is like just around the Toronto City Hall Square. I believe that's that building. I've been there before. The Nationals was there, I think, in like 2018 or something, 2017 maybe. It's a nice place. There's going to be a book of rooms, but basically it's happening in person. NISEI has basically said, I don't know, maybe something could happen where that's not the case, but tickets will be available soon-ish. You can read this. They're going to be talking about what's going to be there. And I do want to stop here to say one very important thing that's so important to understand, specifically if you're new to Netrunner. Worlds is a competitive event, but also Worlds is not a competitive event, if you know what I mean. Firstly, Worlds for Netrunner is not an invitational. It's not an ELO thing. It's not like you have to be a good Netrunner player. You have to be playing for years. You have to have all the altarts. Nothing like this matters. Anyone can sign up for Worlds. The ticket, I think, is $75 American, which is about $80 Canadian, which is like 300 Australian. But it's for everyone. The last Worlds that I've been to was FFG Worlds, and it's so important to know that we have hundreds of people coming together to play Netrunner. And yes, the top 64 of that are going to go on to day 2, and the top 32, and the top 16, and top 8. They're going to be the creme of the creme, the best, the top, the meta breakers, the best players, the optimal Netrunner players. But there is so much to do at Worlds if you're not that player. I 100% recommend you to come to Worlds as not a competitive event, but a celebration of Netrunner. Not only can you meet so many people that you've maybe met online, that you've talked to, you'll make new friends, but there's so many side events. There's things going on. There's like King of Lasers tournaments. Not King. I hated the fact that they called those Kings. There's the Crown of Lasers tournaments, which are team tournaments that people have wild deck restrictions. Or on top of that, like you have side events and like different formats and raffles and games, and people go out for dinner, and it's so good. It is so good, especially after years of not coming together and doing that sort of thing. Being able to come together to celebrate Worlds, to celebrate Netrunner, and so many people that like you are going to meet that care about this thing as much, if not more or less, than you do. It's awesome. And I highly recommend, if you can make it to Toronto around this time, even if you think there's no way in the world that I am a competitive Netrunner player that has any interest in competing, try and make it out. It's phenomenal. I cannot recommend it enough. I even remember the last time I was at Worlds, like players who made day 2 who were like, I've been playing the game for 3 months, just because they played like a weird deck that nobody knew how to beat, and they played it really well. So like, you know, it's great. It really, really is great. Can't recommend it enough. It's not just for competitive players, okay? It's very weird sometimes to think of that for other card games where like Worlds are invitational only. No, this is a fun thing to hang out with. I saw VOD a couple times use Duolingo. What's your recommendation of that for French? Hey, Jay Whalen. Really good, actually. It's quite good. I would recommend. I'm 150 days in. Lime's obligatory plug for OTG being held at the Games Center next month. Yeah, I haven't plugged that enough, but there is a big tournament that's going to be at the Games Center, which is like probably going to be the second biggest Netrunner event this year. We'll talk about it more in the near future, I reckon. That's really cool. So long as they actually show the card the players played mid-game and does not send card names around, like in FFG days, I'm fine with either. I'm not sure I know what you're responding to. Scheduling on Thanksgiving is pretty awkward. Yeah, no, Alec, you're totally right. It's a bit weird. That's not Toronto. It's odd and rot. Enjoy the online events because they actually zoom on cards to begin with. Yeah, I don't know anything about streaming, how they're going to do it. Oh, actually, NISEI posted this, and this is worth knowing if you're streaming in-person events for what's it called, for Netrunner. But Lost Geek posted this down here. Here's a look. It's a handy card overlay tool. I couldn't 100% get this to work, but if you want a card overlay tool, that's really nice. The idea is here is you can write a name of a card in here and then hit the button and it will animate it. And because the background of this is pink, it's really easy to get this involved in your OBS or your XSplit or whatever you're doing for streaming, and then just key out the pink stuff. So if you're playing tabletop and you want to quickly be able to show like Sure Gamble, you just have this on your computer and it's great. Lost Geek has put this together. Things I don't understand, though. There's some things that just don't work. I don't know whether the searches just don't work, but like Shiv doesn't work. Paulina doesn't work. Maybe it's the accents. I don't know. But like some cards work, not all of them. Like Fenris didn't work there. I don't know why. But something like this is amazing to help to get people like maybe NISEI to stream to be able to show cards in full size instead of just hoping you know everything, which is obviously very important, especially this year when there's a lot of newer players playing Netrunner and watching. Hedonist, how's it going? I live a few blocks probably north of a rendering plant, so a few days a month the block south of us smells like rendered hog fat. Yikes. I'm hyped for new cards worlds. Yeah, they said there'd be some new cards here. Something special related to Parhelion, which is awesome. Yo, Esengrin, are you making up to world? I'm using Duolingo for French and it's really good, but I also took French all through school. It might not work as well if you didn't. Yeah, I don't know. I was in the same boat where like I knew French. So like I jumped through a lot of it, but like it's really great. It's largely free. Am I seeing you at Worlds? Cat, oh, it'd be my pleasure. I'm like 95% yes. I do need to like do the awkward, not going to Thanksgiving, but like my family lives around here. You definitely need French in Toronto. Currently trying to do Duolingo Welsh. That's super cool. Click back from another tab. Yeah, sorry for that. Shiv was removed quietly because of Rian's. It's not just Shiv. I know what you mean. I need to learn French by October. Look, if we all start Duolingo now, by Worlds, we'll be able to hit 100 days. Easy. You can skip some days, use your freezes, and then we can go to a restaurant and order pizza in French. Yeah, Canadian Thanksgiving is a bit rough. It looks like NISEI can't change that. I get it. It's probably the most affordable time. But okay. I'm not going to Thanksgiving speech in my brain. Yeah, it's a bit hard, but yeah, I'm so excited for this. Of course, read all of this. NISEI looks like they do want proof of vaccination. I'm totally on board with that. I don't know whether masks are mandatory or asked. I will read this at some point and it'll probably be pretty clear. They're providing all attendees with 3 masks. That's really sick. And these are good masks too. This is really, really, really cool. So again, there's some amount of risk obviously with large events like this. So whatever you're comfortable with, you know, take whatever precautions you need for you, take care of yourself. But NISEI's definitely, you know, really does care about this sort of thing. So check that out. Whoa, what? Oh, okay, ticket price. Right. That makes sense. We can't help on the hotel airfare. That makes sense. Anyways, sick, super sick. Oh, le père, bonjour, ça va? I saw you playing the other night. Are you playing again? Are you back on the Netrunner horse? How have you been? It's been too long, man. I started to give the not going to Thanksgiving notifier to my parents, but turns out they beat me to the punch because they're flying out for a cruise. Solomir, you're still winning. Don't worry. Masks will be required to stay on at all times, and after a warning, no masks can trigger game losses. Whoa, that is wild and kind of cool. I used to live in the middle of 3 breweries in Edinburgh. They are smell like Vegemite. That might not have to do anything with the breweries. That could just be Edinburgh. Okay, that's largely the news. I'm kidding. We have a scoop. Twitter.com/fproject. I'm just going to search it. 2 years ago, my wife told me I could skip Thanksgiving to go to Worlds, and I never got the chance. Is permission still good? If anything, Baza, with inflation, you can take Thanksgiving plus American Thanksgiving. I was AFK for 2 years, but then Hanny organized a startup tournament, so I'm back in the game. This is Loper, who is just a gentleman and a scholar, but he's also the Canadian national champion and did knock me out of the Canadian national championship back in, I think it was 2015. I lost to him 2 games in a row in the finals. And the games are up on the channel and they're embarrassing because I think I played quite poorly. But it's like, if I could lose to anyone, it's really easy to not only it's easy to lose to Loper, but I'm happy losing to Loper. He's a absolute gem. Manhole time. This is manhole threading. The game where you learn that MVT is not a region, so it's not unique in a server. I think I learned so many things. I think I learned that, and then I think I learned that if you do ice destruction, CTM gets you a tag, because controlling the message was kind of new around that time for me. I also learned that if you play a tag me deck against a controlling the message with closed accounts and psychographics, you'll probably just lose. So, and then I played really poorly, I think, against Blackmail Valencia. I was wondering if Hanny still plays. It's also really cool to hear that Hanny is still playing. It's been years since I've seen Hanny. Henny was an organizer of like basically all the stuff in the Ottawa Gatineau region. Really cool guy. Pinhole threading. I called it manhole last week. I'm not wrong. Run event. Run any server. If successful, instead of breaching the attacked server, access one card on the root of another server. If that card is in the agenda, you cannot steal or trash it during this access. Nenchigim would be proud. I've been told that means something along the lines of grandmother. I'm gonna rally the troop for Worlds. Ah, sick. That's great. Henny still plays. Cool. Yeah, one influence. Everyone can splash this. This is a really powerful effect. And I think I've heard through the grapevine, I don't know where I heard this, whether it was in chat or something, that this was a card that was considered to be potentially, this could be made up, I have no source here, in System Gateway. And you might think, what's the point of this card? You can run archives if it's uniced, and then access a card that's in a remote server and trash it if it's not an agenda. You can't steal the agenda. So the idea is, if you've played System Gateway and you played with the deck building thing, you learn pretty quickly that there's some really strong defensive upgrades. The two big offenders are Managarm's Skunkworks, which makes every run 2 clicks or 5 credits more expensive, on top of the fact that you need to trash this. And then on top of that, you have Anoetic Void, a word that I'm not confident I'm saying correctly, which is very, 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 very good. This is the only ability in System Gateway that just says the run is over. I don't care. The fact that you went through my Brawn into a Palisade just to end the run, haha, I'm winning. And this can be quite frustrating. I know when I'm playing against Maddie, she's super upset when I get the server up, because there's nothing you can really do about it, because it's very expensive to get in. These two cards in the same remote server, Anoetic and Managarm, as a corporation, you can choose the order they trigger. So you force them to pay 5 credits and then you end the run. So it's quite mean. Now, these sort of like defensive upgrades, there used to be like always like hot tech cards in the meta that saw play in decks to be able to deal with them, because if your opponent is playing this and you can't get into the remote server, it's really hard to win. The classic one right now is Political Operative, which has been around for a while but is rotating in the next rotation, which will be when the new set comes out, including Manhole Threading. And this card is, I think, unique and fun and interesting. I love the design of this card, but this one's going. So the big question mark was like, how do we do with any of this stuff? How do we deal with it? Light the Fire, that just came out recently in the Midnight Sun booster pack, is a really good way to deal with them as well. It's a bit more, I don't know, this card's really powerful. It's really powerful in more than one way. But now we have another way, which the idea is pinhole threading. You can just run archives or run a remote server that's not iced and just go ahead and trash their upgrade. It's wild. It's really quite wild. You can actually just use this even to get information. Like, you can still access a card in the remote server and be like, oh, that is an agenda. And then you know to run the remote server. It kind of in the same way that you just saw us playing Adam in some weird way. It's 1 credit. So yeah, Ken, that's fine. 1 influence. It's really, really, really quite playable. We've seen, I think, stronger runner cards than corp cards as of recent. I think that's probably I can't tell what's better right now. I feel like my win rates on runner are pretty abysmal for the last while though. Yeah, the Rashida Hunter, the NGO front hunter, in the standard format, there's a lot of good targets for this. But even outside of standard, in startup, this is very, very quite playable and very quite strong effect. The big question for cards like these is how many of these see play, because these are the sort of cards that are like self-balancing, right? The idea is that Light the Fire came out and Political Operative still exists. So I see fewer and fewer people running Managarm and Anoetic Void decks. They're just not that popular anymore. And the thing is then, as a response for that, less people play Political Operative, excuse me, and less people play Light the Fire. So there's like a cold war that's always going on in the background of the meta. And that kind of stresses me out when I'm deck building and going to an event, not knowing if I called the meta right. Be like, oh, I brought an Anoetic Void deck. Everyone's on 2 pinhole threading and a Light the Fire. So there's a chance that this card actually sees no play, but just its existence has a big enough impact on the meta. But that being said, this card on its own is not bad. Like, even in matchups where it's not so much about trashing the defensive upgrades that are really important, the idea is that you could be playing it against a Controlling the Message deck that has like a big old toll booth, a giant code gate, and they're trying to score behind this. And by score behind this, I mean keep a Sand City grid. And the idea is that you can just go run any other remote server and then just go manhole it in. And you're good. Like, it just has a good use case outside of like maybe something more niche, which is great. I'm not sure they let you access the NGO. The interesting thing is like they have to pop the NGO before you access it, which is really cool. The idea is that when the run is successful, before the run is successful, they have to pop the NGO front, right? So the idea is that you could pinhole threading archives, they have to pop the NGO front, and then you can still trash a defensive upgrade in the remote server. It's kind of neat, right? Like it forces the corp to do weird things, and that's always really exciting. Are you forced to trash MVT accesses? Yes, you are, but Lopera, MVT is rotating the same time this card comes out. The whole Mumbad cycle is going. Hey, Floofy, how's it going? Sorry, I have to catch up on chat. I got into my my soliloquy. Paul up so good, yes. Schmendrix, it's inspired the Ashes Reborn server to organize a Netrunner tournament. No thanks to Patrick. Oh, let us know how that goes. I'm most excited for getting rid of Daily Quest. Oh, this getting rid of Daily Quest is such a big deal. And that's the thing, is like cards like this come out, you start thinking like, how do I build certain archetypes as a corporation? I don't know how to do it. And so we got to see what more of the corporation cards are. But I know we've heard from June, from the lead designer of NISEI, they want more of these like, you know, haymaker abilities as opposed to like credit per turn, which I'm cool with that. The idea is that like watching Worlds, oh, they have pinhole threading, wild excitement. They're going to riposte with punitive counterstrike. I don't know, but you see what I mean. It's good. Probably also worth using this to decide if you want to burn an early inside job. Yeah, macaroni or a boomerang or literally anything. Ah, no, etic. That's what I'm doing that, right? Anoetic. The big thing is that it trashes either Managorm or Anoetic. Yes. Yeah, you choose one. I mean, Caprice and Nisei, but guaranteed. I take it over the steep tax. Yes. Yeah, Mizuki. Definitely this thing. Well, I don't know. Caprice and Nisei is very comparable to Anoetic. Anoetic has a steeper cost associated with it, but like if you're going to win the game, the cost is not that important. Hey, Ma, Gwen, it also can't accidentally hit the face down agenda. It's a total guess. Yes. What? Wait. Access one card in the root. So you're not accessing the whole server. So yeah, you do have to guess. So there's a chance you whiff if there's like 2 unadvanced cards. You don't know which one's which. It'd be interesting if there's cards like councilman that like encourage the corporation to pre-res their upgrades, because then it's easier to punish, but who knows? Doesn't trigger Kasi string? What's the point? That's a good question, but I think it's Kasi strings. They have to answer that. Electric, how's it going? Saw someone suggesting to use it to trash Crisium on APOC or dive turn. Yes, this is really important. The idea that you can pinhole threading a central server, and then when you access that server, you can, or when you make the successful run, you can use that access to like access a Crisium grid or a defensive upgrade on another central server that you're planning to run later in the turn, because you have a card like Apocalypse or Deep Dive that requires you to run all 3 central servers. I don't know what you can do against pinhole threading Apocalypse deck. Like Crisium Grid doesn't work. So you're kind of stuck doing things like border control, NISEI Mark II, stuff like that. It's a lot harder. But yeah, it's a very good way to deal with Crisium Grid if you need to. Obviously, don't run the Crisium Grid. It's a good ice trash in limited? What do you mean? Does it gun you in the server? It is protecting the server you raided with the pinhole. You don't access anything else. It's a replacement effect. So you don't get to breach the server. It is not like an additional effect. It's a replacement effect. So if you run HQ with the pinhole threading, you do not access HQ. You just access the one single card, the thing that you threaded. Ganked would put you in ice of the server Ganked is in. Oh, this accessing Ganked is really fun. I would have to read the Ganked text to know which one you hit. It's the old slot the Claude Meta Wars. Yeah, it's like, you know, what's it called? This card's at least like more flexible, so it's not like Claude, which is a dead card, which I really don't like those meta wars, but you know what I mean. MV2 rotate, I'm out. Lopair, just start playing what's it called? I think it's better in CTM. Start playing Prysac. People don't play around Prysac. You can win super easy. I do wonder whether there's going to be another defensive upgrade to kind of balance things out. Do you think this would be worth playing in Shaper? I imagine Anarch will play LTF instead. I think you can definitely play this in Shaper. I think Light the Fire is worth considering in any deck anyways, just because it does let you deal with assets cheaply as long as brain damage isn't an issue. But this is a very playable card. The thing with this card, though, it just depends on the meta, right? And again, if this card exists and it's prevalent, the things that it fights start disappearing. And then, you know, we can run on both sides of the seesaw until one of us is at the horizon. Run with pinhole, check top of R&D. If it's an agenda, burn your once per turn Omar. Run any server instead of breaching the attack server, access one card. No, because I don't think R&D is in the root of another server. So I don't think you can access the top of R&D with this. I could be wrong. You could also usually figure out which card is the upgrade if there's an asset or agenda in the server earlier. Yeah. No. A lot of times it's more obvious, especially if they pre-res things, if they res their like Tranquility home grid. Transport Monopoly, I guess. Yeah, I know. Transport Monopoly is like, it's getting better, but like we're still so far away from Transport Monopoly. Okay, hey, off kind of question. I was working on a card that I wanted to see how I can balance out, but I can't figure out how to balance it out. The text I want on a card so that it can goof with these sort of effects, and it's probably very powerful. I was building some Jinteki cards that have to do with like memory and the whole exploration of memory. I've been watching Severance, yeah. And I wanted to get either an identity, which I don't think is right, or an agenda, but I don't think you play this on a 4-2 agenda. Maybe it's an asset. But if the Jinteki card could say, the runner's first time per turn abilities become second time per turn, would you play that if it's on a 4-2 agenda? It's a very powerful ability. It says, yeah, change the first instant on first time per turn abilities on all runner cards to second time. Yeah, I think you'll probably play it. I don't know. On a 4-2, it's so hard to build agendas that you'd want to play. Top of R&D is not part of the root of the server. Okay, good. So you cannot hit the top of R&D or an access of an HQ. Root of the server is separate from this server. Sounds like a rules nightmare? Maybe. Yeah, potentially. It's annoying, but there are other cards that care about that sort of thing, that remember, that have history, like Jeeves and stuff like that. Only if it's always on. Please let me hippo your inner ice. Yeah, I guess you could. Yeah. It sounds like a 3-1 agenda ability. Yeah, but then nobody would play it. The days of leaving HQ open as PD are definitely over now. I don't know if this actually, like, if you're talking about pinhole threading, I don't think that actually matters, because you can just run archives. It doesn't change much. The only difference is like if they're Steve, but you ice up HQ anyways. Yeah, I don't know if Hippo's worded because Hippo's first time you break all subroutines. I don't know. Anyways, this is cool. This is a powerful card. It's a flexible card. It's a 1 influence card. These sort of cards, like also for many factions, any low influence card is really important. Pinhole seems like a good APOC card. It really does. Yeah, it is quite powerful. It also lets you APOC at the same time of trashing. You generally don't want to do that. I'm thinking of like hostile infrastructure, but they don't pre-res those. My only gripe is that it doesn't feel like a 1 influence card. This is an effect that like I could see it being more than 1 influence, but I feel like it's the same way political cooperative exists, where it is low influence, so everyone has access to this like release valve for a potentially like poisonous upgrade meta. You know, it means they can print more powerful upgrades. I mean, if it's permanently online as a 4/2, could work. I think it could work. Maybe it's a rules nightmare. I looked into some instances of it. It seemed fine. If you change the word first, it's a problem. If you change first time, a turn, not a problem. All right, let's build a deck. I just need to get water. I'm out of breath. Oof. What happens if you score a second one of the agenda? Nothing. Nothing. No. Like any other ongoing ability agenda, I don't think it does anything. Because it changes first, second, then changes back to first. All right. So we try to do this. Well, we did it to some extent last week. I don't know if you're watching right now and you're a newer player who are new to System Gateway, to the startup format, which is the easy format to get into largely. I want to show you how easy it is. And again, the sort of questions that were raised and the decisions we make when building a deck for the startup format. So firstly, we are on Netrunner DB, which is the website that most people use for deck building. It's fantastic. I've logged into my account. I'm just going to go to my deck list and I'm going to hit new runner deck. The rules are going to groan. I believe it. Score 3 of them and then runner needs to take the action 4 times. It doesn't say the next time over. It says the second time. It's like Bran. It all comes back to Bran. Okay, so very important thing. If you're playing the startup format, here at the top, choose your identity. Just hit startup. Right now, this is overwhelming. You see how many IDs there are? This is from the beginning of time of Netrunner. If you hit startup, you're down to like 12. Way easier. And then you can make a big decision, which is which faction you want to play. And then we can go from there. That's the biggest thing. From here, you have a lot of options. Some of them are a bit similar to others. There's some that I would argue are very quite difficult to build. I'm going to do Anarch today. We've done a lot of Criminal on this channel recently, been playing a lot of as McCaffrey. And I feel like if I'm playing Criminal in startup, I would always play as. So not going to change that. So we're going to just do an Anarch. So we look at our 4 Anarchs here and we get to pick which one that we want. Now, luckily, all the Anarchs, well, maybe it's not luckily, but all these Anarchs have actually pretty... I don't feel like any of them have really abilities that you need to heavily build around. Maybe Reyna Rojo is the difference. So we can look at all the 4 of them. You're probably the most familiar with Lou Osmo, Lou from the System Gateway. I'm a big fan of Lou. 40 minimum deck size. That's the 40 in the bottom left corner. I'm hiding it with my face. 1 second. I guess I'm not. Oh, now I'm too small. That means our minimum deck size, we can have 40 cards in it. Largely, the idea is the smaller your deck is, the more consistent it is, the more likely you are to draw your best cards on any card draw, because you just have fewer cards. So that's quite good. His ability, we just want to trash things that we're accessing. We'll keep that in mind when we're deck building. Then we have Reyna Rojo, 45. All the other deck IDs have bigger deck sizes. Again, makes you a bit more inconsistent. But if you're a bit worse at like lowering your decks and making things a bit more concise, myself included, that's not that big of a deal. Reyna is an ability that I don't think has scaled too well through the history of Netrunner. It just says the first piece of ice, the corp reses each turn cost 1 credit more. Now, there are some cards you can play with that make the res cost. That works largely. I find in my experience, especially in startup, it's a lot better to make sure that you're doing things properly and nice and good, as opposed to trying to keep your opponent down. I think Reyna struggles a bit with that, with economy. I don't think it's that important of an effect. Quetzal kind of falls in the same pool. Such a cool ability or character. For 0 credits, you can break 1 barrier subroutine per turn. Now, these are runners that are from old Netrunner that have been just kind of like thrown into the NISEI card pool so that there's enough things to play with. Quetzal's ability is kind of niche as well. There's not that many like big single subroutine barriers in the startup format that you're really worried about. Maybe we're getting a bit too granular here, but I would not start with a Quetzal deck. It's really easy to play though. You can just build any deck and then go through 1 barrier a turn. And then Hoshiko, who I think is the most complicated. In fact, that you have to keep remembering these discrete triggers where every turn when it ends, you either flip at the beginning of your turn, you flip back or stuff like that. I think Hoshiko is a lot of fun and makes you focus on what you're doing on your turn, because Hoshiko generally wants to run and access a card every other turn, if not constantly. And then you flip this back and forth. And there's two sides on each side of this identity that do something slightly different. I think it's really good fun. We're going to keep it simple though. And we're going to keep it to the system gateway. And we're going to play Lou. We're going to build a 40 card minimum deck. What is theoretical agenda ability affect priority? No, because it's just your first click. You still have a first. Oh no, because it's not first time per turn. It's just first click. Yeah, my gal right now. Andre is on Team Lou, which makes sense because he's looks like Steve himself. She's the best in startup IMO. Who is Kevin? Hoshiko? I think so. Hoshiko is probably the best Anarch in startup, I would think. Free card draw is amazing. We get free card draw here with our. I think. Okay, look, Nisei called him a himbo first, so I'm allowed to call him a himbo. There's a Mahou Shoujo nostalgia anime airing tonight. I'll take that as a notion for Shiro. Never seen how you can make a startup Hoshiko deck. Really? Mizuki. Hoshiko's, I think, the best. Yeah, by a mile. She's really, really quite good. Okay, next important thing is go to your collection, because again, we have too many cards here. I wish I remembered from the previous page. You go to collection and we hit startup here. And now, very approachable. We went from having not a lot, like too many cards here, to like 7. So we're in a really good spot here. At this point, if you ever hover over a card or click on a card, you get to see the full art, and you have some filter buttons here. This filters for each faction. So you're going to get familiar with the different logos first. They're all color coded. So we're on Anarch. The ones that you care about are Anarch, Criminal, Shaper, and Neutral. There's these 3 other mini faction ones, which I guess could in theory be hit on startup, but they don't exist in startup, so don't worry about them. And now we just start adding cards into our deck we like. And the most important thing you have to keep in mind is make sure you have a modicum of credits and card draw. It's really easy to put as many sexy, cool effects into your deck, like en passant. Imagining you trashing all their ice seems really cool, but then you have to remember that this game, under the really cool flavor and everything, still is a game about resource management to a large extent. You need to make sure you're making enough credits to be able to do the things you want to do in enough time. You want to make sure you're drawing through your deck, getting enough card draw so that you're getting to the cards so you can make credits so you can do the things you want to do. So you want to make sure that you have a modicum of all this sort of stuff. Now, I do not have a good number of how many economy cards you should put in your deck. Not all economy cards are made equally. Maybe there's somebody who has a good heuristic of what you should be looking for. A lot of times I can look at a deck because we've been playing for so long and think, well, this has no money. This has not enough money. If anything, do more than you think you need to do. Play a couple games and then realize, are you swimming in credits? Then kind of go backwards from there. But you always want to go backwards. You usually don't want to be going forwards. You overdo it and then backpedal. What is a himbo? Himbo is it's like the masculine version of I believe the term bimbo. It largely means a handsome but dumb man. Bimbo is definitely more offensive. That's just weird how that works out, I guess. Bimbo sounds really offensive. I don't know if himbo is as offensive. Like Kronk from Emperor's New Groove. Yes, that's probably a really good one. A strong and airheaded man. Yes. Is this the beginner teaching stream? Maybe just show them how to... I've lost it 1 second. How to net deck here instead of building your own. We talked about that earlier in the stream, but that's a really good thing. Catherine, how's it been going? Been thinking about that agenda. It feels like there's a good chance many times it just shuts the ability off completely, which is tempting. I'd likely still just play the Econ 4-2s first, though. That's the problem I have. It's very, very strong. But the Econ 4-2 is like, just like I said, sometimes it's better to push yourself forward than it is to push your opponent backwards. Kind. Oh, the 3/10 of the himbo, masculine, dumb, and kind. I like that. Himbo also implies a sort of goofy kind-heartedness. I didn't realize that. Sure, less offensive. Why not? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so we want to start by just going through our faction and putting in any cards that we want. If you want to make it a bit easier, you can also hit this neutral button, because largely, mind you, there is some cards that are neutral that cost influence. That's this little pip here. You can put these cards in your deck and they cost you nothing. It's worth knowing when you're building a deck, you have this much influence. The number in the corner, it's 15, I think, for just about everything in System Gateway on the runner side. Largely, there's one exception. So you can, this is the amount of pips of influence on cards that are outside of faction that you can play. So the idea is, if we wanted to play, let's say, this criminal card called Bravado, which is a great card, it costs 3 influence. So every one that we add into our deck eats 3 of those 15 influence. So we could play 3 of these and spend 9 of our influence and have 6 left to go to the shops. So an easy way to start is I want to start by not spending my influence and just putting in all the good stuff. Just watch out though. This is really awkward and weird, but some of the neutral cards do cost influence. So just keep that in mind. Kronk is the perfect example. To make it acceptable, you got to add the second positive to outweigh the one negative. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. Okay. Oh yeah, Ken is also an exception. I thought it was just Kit. All right, so we're gonna just start adding neutral cards. Again, we want to get our economy. Sure Gamble, generally a staple. Can't go wrong here, putting 3 in most of your decks. Other things, Overclock is quite good. 4 credits and a run at the same time. That's a lot of money. It's click compression, right? It's not only a sure gamble worth of credits, but a run at the same time. So it's worth more than 4 credits. Obviously, you can't keep these credits and it's harder to use them to build your board state, but it's fantastic. We'll start with 2. Jailbreak I also like a heck of a lot. It means that we can, what's it called? We can see more cards. You need to see a certain amount of cards from the corp to have a good chance of winning. Generally, that number is around 17 different cards from central servers and from the remote server. So having a card that's not only a bit of card draw, but allows you to see 2 is very valuable. It's not only seeing more cards, but sometimes seeing the top cards of R&D, the top 2 cards of R&D, means that the corporation won't see a card that you haven't seen for maybe a turn, which means that you don't have to run R&D next turn. That can be quite valuable. Thankfully, the neutral cards in startup that cost influence are bad. Yes, Burton, that's correct. I didn't want to start with that. That's a good place here. Otherwise, in terms of the cards we have, Dirty Laundry, also a very good card. It's 3 credits and a run, but you get to keep the money as long as the run's successful. It can't go wrong here. Again, just starting with having enough economy, and then we're adding the cool stuff in after. Other things we want to think. En passant, again, this is something we would maybe consider if our deck had more ice destruction in it. But again, we're just trying to do the basics. We're not doing the flashy effects. We'll put the flashy effects on top. Wildcat Strike is also quite good. It is either economy or card draw. 95% of the time, it should be economy. I'm going to add 1 as a reminder that we can add more here. Maybe we'll cut it. Let's go over to the hardware tab. And here we do have to pay in mind, we'll go back to this, but we want to get abilities that trash cards that we access every turn. So we want to keep that in mind. And that's going to be important because there is a console here that helps you do that. So let's look at what we have. You generally want to be playing a console. A console is the unique thing that gives you a lot of flavor and a lot of MU. And Carnivore is a really good Lou console. I haven't played that much Carnivore Lou. I'm generally actually pretty keen on playing Keiko just because Keiko is a lot of money. It's a shame how money can sometimes override some of the other cool things, but let's try and keep it cool and run Carnivore. Another really important rule in Netrunner is how many copies of a certain card you should put into your deck. And this is the Andre rule of thumb. If you put 3 copies of a card in your deck, it means you want this in your opening hand. That's the best odds you can get at having this in your starting hand every single game. 3. You can't put more than 3. Now, that's not right for every single card. Overclock we might not want in our opening hand. It's not that important in our opening hand, so maybe we won't consider 3. But a card like Sure Gamble, we would definitely want this in our opening hand. Let's play 3. Now, the next number underneath that is 2, and 2 means that this is a card you don't necessarily want in your opening hand, but you want to find one just about every game. And that is the number I would play Carnivore. Carnivore is a card that we want to see every game, just about, but we don't want to have it in our opening hand. It's also important to know that unique cards have a bit of a different weighting, because a unique card, you can only have 1 installed. So if you put 3 Carnivores in your deck, sure, you might get 1 in your opening hand, but then the other 2 are really bad draws. That's a bit different for Sure Gamble, where you can play your next 2 Sure Gambles because they're not unique. Mind you, uniqueness means there can only be 1 installed on the table. So for those 2 reasons, we're going to play 2 Carnivore. You might ask why 1? 1 means it's a card that's nice, that if we draw it in every other game, we're okay with that. It's not necessary to our game plan. Maybe that's Wildcat Strike is an option. Like if we just run 1 Wildcat Strike, if we draw it, whatever. If we don't draw it, whatever. Not the best example, but you see what I mean here. And then 0 means you don't want it in your deck. That one makes a lot of sense. So we're going to hit 2 because we want it, but we don't want it every game. Carnivore is so expensive. I forgot it costs 4 to install. It does cost 4 to install, but with Lou, it's technically economy because it trashes cards. I do think Keiko is a bit better. If only there was a card similar to Creeper. I know. Demolisher Lou. I don't want to play Demolisher. Don't get me into this. Carnivore synergy with Carnivore. That's actually true though. Carnivore does have synergy with Carnivore because Carnivore forces you to trash 2 cards from your grip. So you might think, well, then I can play 3 Carnivore and throw out the other Carnivore, which is not wrong, but you can also throw out any other card. So don't at me. For this console, you need cards to feed it, so multiple is okay. It's not the worst. It's not the worst. There's other examples that it's way worse than this, but this thing will eat things, so you can feed it whatever you want. Garbage in, garbage out. Okay, other things. We have Devil Charm. It's okay. It lowers the strength of ice. That's kind of neat, but not necessary yet. I do think Gachapon is a cool card. Allows you to look at the top 6 of your cards, install one of them cheaper. That's pretty quick. 1 card that looks through 6. Phenomenal. We'll put 1 and then see if we want to play more of these. And then everything else here, I don't think we care about too much. Prepaid voice pad is a consideration. We can come back to this. We'll put 1 and then we'll like trim the list if we need to. This tab here is identities, which is not that useful. It just we have chosen our identity, so we're not going to change that. Carnivore is fun to do a 3 of, but it gets really rough when I got in early and you can't access HQ because you're dirt poor. Yeah, I feel that. Swift and Anakarm are the ones that are running 3s worse than 2, right? Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good example. Like Swift, you don't need it on turn 1. You need to find it. So I would not run 3 of these, usually. Okay, now we're on to programs, and programs are really important. You want to get some fundamentals down. There are 3 major types of ice: barriers, code gates, and sentries. So you're going to try and look for a fractor, a decoder, and a killer. That in the order I said them. You're going to want those. So you want to make sure that you get those on the table at some point and you're running enough of them. You also want to make sure that you can find one of them soon enough in the game for it to matter. If the runner, or sorry, the corporation is trying to score out an agenda behind a barrier on turn 1, how many turns is going to take you to find a way to deal with that barrier? And while fractors obviously deal with barriers and barriers only, there's a lot of cards you consider adding to your deck that give you flexibility that can also break other things. So we'll look at it. The barrier, the code gate, the sentry. Gachapon thins your deck, which seems bad if you're on Carnivore. Maybe. Yeah, maybe Limes. It depends how quickly we're going through our deck. Maybe it won't matter. Yeah, Sengrin, we're definitely going to play DreamNet. I love Carnivore DreamNet. I think it's really cool. Carnivore has other synergies that'll never matter. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess so. But none of that startup, right? Okay, so we want to make sure that we have some of these breakers. And the question is, how many do we want? Our 2 big fractors, and this is important to know. If you go to this tab over here and hit syntax, you'll get all this like really maybe intimidating looking things. This is actually not that intimidating because I said so. Sorry, that's not really encouraging. But these are the different codes you can write to search syntax. So if we want to look for a certain subtype of card, so a subtype on a card, for instance, the subtype on Carnivore is the text here, console. That's its subtype. So say we're trying to look for all the programs in Anarch or Neutral that can break can break barriers. So they're fractors. So subtype, luckily, just let me close this tab, is S. Makes sense. So if we do S : fractor, it thins the list and we only see the fractors. That's amazing. So you want to try and learn these as much as possible. A lot of them are kind of intuitive. S for subtype. That's largely where it ends. So you want to get this in. So we have 2 options. We have Cleaver, which is really good. It's really efficient at breaking things with 3 or less strength, but it's very bad at breaking things at higher strength. And we have Corroder, which is kind of the happy medium, that it's okay at just about everything. Does buffer drive and Carnivore make sense? It kind of does, but also it kind of doesn't matter. I'm not worried about getting decked out, but if we're playing against a lot of damage, maybe it does. Okay, so I don't have enough startup knowledge to know which of these are better. I don't know which of these are better in the meta. The cool thing is that you can actually check. I don't want to make this too intimidating, but you can easily go in Netrunner DB and check all the barriers that exist in System Gateway, or in Startup, excuse me. And see like, oh, the majority of them are actually underneath 4 strength. So or 3 strength. So that's not a problem for Cleaver. From my experience, I think there's a fair few barriers that are in 4. Cleaver is better. Everyone's saying Cleaver is better. Now, one of the big downsides you see of Cleaver is that boosting strength is really expensive. So we might want to consider making ways to boost its own strength. Other ways to boost its strength, I mean. So let's put 2. And I'm putting 2 because we want to get one, but we don't want to have one in our opening hand all the time. Bran or the Wayland 10 strength the biggest? How long? How are you going? Yeah, how's it going? I think Bran's the big one that I'm worried about. Breaking 3 credits for what's it called? The Palisade's not too bad. Now, of course, we're only looking at the Anarch cards right now, but say that we go over to Killer and realize that the killers in Anarch are actually, they're not that bad. But say we look at Decoder, that's also not that bad. But the idea is that if you want to just increase you can just open this and see the other options between all the other factions. If we just hit the other tabs, and then you'll notice that some of these are very high on influence. Bagulter is the best killer largely in the format, but it's 4 influence. So you're making a real decision here, whether you want to spend 4 influence to get the best killer in the game, or whether we're going to be okay playing Mimic, which can't boost its strength, but is pretty efficient, or Odori. Now, Odori is fine. Mimic is okay. There are a fair few 4 strength code sentries. I think almost all the sentries in System Gateway alone are 4 strength, barring Tithe. So it's a bit worrisome. Seems better to Lou because you're trying to run every turn. So Leech is way better. Yeah, Leech is good. I think Leech is good regardless, whatever Anarch you're playing. So this thing is okay. 3 for 3 strength means that to get to Mimic is actually quite ugly. But is this good? That's Adore. Is this good? 0 to break Sentry subroutine uses ability only if you have 3 or more installed virus resources. So if we have 3 virtuals, we can use this pretty well. We probably will have 3 virtuals. 2 to break any other Sentry subroutines is okay, but 3 for 3 strength is really bad. If we want to break a 4 strength Sentry, we're paying 6 credits. Ugh. That's gross. Are people playing this? Decoder and Anarch? Yeah, it's not that bad. Buzzsaw's a heck of a drug. I guess we're playing that. Luckily, we have other ways to deal with ice, so we're not too dependent on getting our Dory down. And then lastly, we have a decoder, and the versions we have in faction, we have Ute, which is like an Adori equivalent that cares about virtuals. This one's not very good. I don't like this one. Yeah, Dory's good with Leech, I guess. Every card in Anarch is good with Leech, I guess. And then the other option you have is Buzzsaw. It is, and you'll find out pretty soon, Buzzsaw inherits the same issues that what's it called? The Cleaver does, where it's very bad at boosting strength. It's very inefficient. 3 credits for 1 strength. That is nauseating to look at, but it's really good at low strength code gates. Unfortunately, there is a fair few 5 strength code gates in System Gateway, so this can sometimes have issues. We'll put in 2 and we'll figure it out. Aaron, have a good night. Thanks for dropping in. Okay. Yeah, Ice Carver is a really big deal. If we're saying there's so many 4 strength code sentries, having an Ice Carver saves 3 credits per sentry, which is wild. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and close this and then just look at all the programs, because there's other programs you want that aren't killers. There aren't decoders or breakers, all the other programs. And there's certain ones that we definitely want to consider. I think Chisel's quite cute. Chisel is program destruction, or sorry, ice destruction on a virus program. It's nice. There are certain low strength things that this gets really good against if you play into GameNet and you play into like, what's it called? That barrier that is evil. Like, this is a nice way to deal with it. It's cute how the current Anarch suite in startup is that you can dance, sing, and carve them up with the cleaver. I'm going to play 2 of these. We also have Imp. This is, oh, Gold Farmer, that's the name. This is so important. We have to remember that our ability triggers whenever we trash a card we're accessing. And Imp, you install it for 2 credits, and it gives you 2 counters that you can use across 2 turns to trash any card you're accessing, which means we get our loot ability pretty consistently. Imp is generally a 3 of in basically any loot deck I built, just because we want to, as consistently as possible, be able to turn on our ability as fast as possible. Do we have to run the mandatory with FA counterattacks of 1 clot? No, you usually don't. Clot is a really interesting card. It doesn't do anything besides stop your opponent from fast advancing, scoring out agendas on the turn they've installed them. It's a card that sees some niche play, but the biggest issue, this is the one consideration that I would have if you're considering to play Clot. Do you have a way to install this on the opponent's turn? Which, if you just started playing System Gateway, that might be a weird sentence. How do you do that? And there's a bunch of ways you can do that. Largely, it's using the Shaper suite of things like Simulchip or self-modifying code that allow you to install things at instant speed from your heap or from your deck, respectively. Or perhaps with Gachapon, you can get lucky and see it off the top 6, see what the machine gets you. But if you cannot play this at instant speed, and I do think our deck will be playing Simulchip, I would not consider Clot, just because it doesn't do anything. This thing is a thread where you can install it after they go install advance, and then you stop them dead in their tracks. That's where it's important. Just getting this on the table doesn't do enough. Other things we're talking about Leech. Leech is a thing if we want to make runs. We want to make runs anyways to trash things. This gets virus counters, and the virus counters are worth 2 to 3 credits if we're trying to save costs on boosting 2 to 3 credits, either our cleaver or our buzzsaw. So these are really useful. Let's put 2. We have to watch out that we don't have too much memory, which is going to be a problem at some point. The last thing that's really important to put in your deck for sure is multi-access, a way to win the game. It's very, I wouldn't say foolish, but it's very difficult to win a game of Netrunner where all you're doing is seeing the top card of R&D, a card in HQ, or running the remote server. Generally, you want a card like Stargate, or in System Gateway, you have Conduit, cards which will see you more cards from central servers and eventually win the game if the corporation doesn't address it. They have to stop doing what they're doing, trying to score on a remote server, and address you. Cards like this are so important that you can put down and be like, I'm going to win off R&D in 3 turns if you don't really stop it. This is really quite important. Simulchip def seems like a good fit. Yeah, with the Chisel, let alone the Imp. The Imp is a reason. We will play Simulchip for sure. Might be good to explain instant speed in Netrunner terms. Paid ability window. Yes, instead of MTG terms, instant. We'll talk about the Simulchip because we'll add it. I'll add 1 Stargate. Maybe you'd want 2. I feel like our MU is going to be a bit gummed up, but this is something that we'd want to find in the game, but we don't want it in our opening hand. 2 might be correct, but I feel like we already have too many cards. We'll get back there. Lastly, go to resources. Again, we haven't spent any influence yet, so we can look at our deck on the macro scale once we're done and say like, oh, we could get more money in here. So or our killer really sucks, so let's spend influence fixing that problem. Carnivore seems like an interesting include here, since most new players may have trouble parting with cards for hand its ability. Embrace throwing anything out. Everything is garbage. All right, cards we want. Daily Casts. Not a very flashy card, but this is 5 credits over 4 or 5 turns. It's better than Sure Gamble, as long as the game is going long enough. Daily Cast is sick. I'm going to play probably 3. I'll play 2. DreamNet, also quite good. If we have Carnivore, when we're accessing cards, we want to throw out 2 cards to trash something. We'll draw 1 with Lou. If we have DreamNet, we'll draw another one. There's additional text about having 2 linker becoming digital. We're not going to have any of that text. Basically, we install this, and when we run, we draw a card. We could play 1 or 2. Earthrise Hotel, one of the best neutral card draw cards, is also quite slow. You get this down, and then you draw 6 cards over turns. That's good. We need to draw through our deck. We'll play 2 or 3. And then we can start playing some of our cool in-faction cards. Liberated Accounts. It's kind of a staple in Anarch decks. It has been for a long time. It's very expensive to get down early. We can kind of deal with that. But the idea is that you can click to take 4 credits off of this. So if you do the math, you pay 6 and you take off of it 16. So in 5 clicks, install, take money, take money, take money, take money, you gain 10 credits. So it's a click for 2 credits instead of a click for 1 credit. It's twice as good. It doesn't sound that flashy when you say it like that, but there's ways to make it even better. But this is a good economy card. You just have to watch out that you never go to like 2 or 3 credits with this in your hand, because it's a nightmare to play once you get to that stance, that situation. Light the Fire, you could play Mystic Miami. These are companions. They give you basically a credit a turn to do things. Mystic Miami is okay. The one I like to play more often than not is Paladin Puemo, because we're going to install a lot of things. And Paladin Puemo, she gives us credits to install once per turn. Well, we generally want to install at least 1 thing a turn, so how bad could that be? We'll put in 2, because we want to find 1. Other cards. We can play... Where's the... Ice Carver? We missed this one. This is the one that reduces the strength of all ice by 1, which is super important. Because our ice breakers are not good at boosting strength. We'll put in 1. We've made it to 40 cards. We have built a probably not exactly functional deck. There's a lot of these one-ofs that we can pare down. I think we're going to have some issues with MU. I think we're going to have some issues with not being able to recur. So we're going to just go ahead and get our stuff back in order. Scrubber is good in Lou. Scrubber is not bad in Lou at all. I'm hoping we can lean on the imps more. That will need the Scrubbers. But Scrubber gives you 2 credits a turn. That's a lot. There's not a lot of cards in Netrunner that give you 2 credits a turn. It's usually 1 credit a turn in value. But this gives you 2 credits a turn, which you can use to trash assets and upgrades. It's fantastic. Interesting to note that with DreamNet, we are effectively saying we will make successful runs on more turns than we click to draw. Or we run verbal plasticity. Yes and no. The click compression is, I think, very important when you're looking at DreamNet as well. Because verbal plasticity is the thing that comes in System Gateway. This is when you draw 2 cards. But the difference with DreamNet is you're drawing while running at the same time. So that's better because we want to run anyways. But yeah, kind of. Fueno would be a reasonable swap for Scrubber if you're considering it. No. Nice try. Okay. At this point, now you can have your fun, where you can hit up all the other factions that we haven't included. You can even sort by influence. Generally, the ones that higher influence are wilder effects or more powerful effects. And see what else you want to consider to put in. It's not that many cards, honestly. It's a bit intimidating, but it's not that many cards. Just look through it and see something fun. I feel like we have probably enough economy, but we just want to add in maybe a couple tricks, maybe a bit more money, and see where we go from there. So things that I know, because I've played a bit of startup, of things we want to add to our deck. Firstly, I would consider running this beautiful event here called Career Fair. Career Fair allows you to install a card, a resource, mind you, reducing its cost by 3. And you'll notice every single resource we have, barring 1, cost at least 3 credits. So maybe we'll play 2, maybe we'll play 3 of these. But the idea is that Daily Cast comes down for free. Or sorry, Hotel comes down for 1 credit. Liberated for free, or for 3, sorry. Ice Carver for free. This is really important. And if we have a good card draw, we're more likely to draw into a Career Fair and a resource at the same time. Now this card saves you 3 credits, and we talked about this earlier on stream. It saves you 3 credits and installs at the same time, so that's worth more than 3 credits. Fueno is more flexible than Scrubber in a lot of ways. Fueno, no, I don't like Fueno at all. We love Fueno here, but we let Fueno rest. Other cards we consider playing, Diesel. These are just like neutral, nice cards that you'll get to know the more you play. Diesel is 2 influence to draw 3 cards. That's good for 0. That's totally fine. Other things that are just nice, good stuff. You maybe want a way to get some HQ pressure. Legwork is a nice way to do it, just to make sure that you're putting enough pressure on HQ. For what you want to generally put some sort of pressure, and pressure is the abstract idea that how much the corp is scared of you running there. So if you have a legwork, every once in a while, the corporate really wants to consider icing up HQ. If you have no pressure on HQ, and every time you're running HQ, you're spending a click to have a 1 in 5 chance to hit an agenda, that's actually not that bad for the corporation a lot of times. I think our HQ pressure largely is going to be an imp. So if they don't have HQ, we're going to start trashing their stuff for free. So we might not need the legwork, but I think we'll look into HQ pressure later on. Bravado, incredibly powerful card. It is 3 influence, but it's money at the same time as running, which is quite good. I wouldn't play Career Fair unless I didn't have gain credits card that didn't give 4 credits. I would play another cast over Career Fair. I don't think it's, I don't know if I entirely agree with that. Like the big thing about Career Fair is that we can play some of these like slower cards on tempo, or that we can play liberated counts when underneath 6. I see what you mean though. Like maybe playing a daily cast is better than Career Fair, but sometimes it's just like if you get a 2 draw off the Earthrise Hotel, that's actually more efficient. Hey, Sargnar, we are building a startup deck. Exactly. Nothing worse in the world than being 1 Bologna credit short. For this deck though, we imp the Bologna, so it's not the biggest deal. But yeah, Bologna is something you'll learn to play around. Okay, things that I definitely wanted to put in the deck. And we talked about instant speed, and that is the idea of abilities that don't cost a click. So a really important one here is, where is she? Simulchip? 2 influence? It's right here. MGN, how's it going? Welcome. So Simulchip says that you can trash this to install a program from your heap paying 3 credits less. And it's really important to note that it doesn't say a click there, which means you can do it at any window. There's so many paid ability windows is what they're called, which are times in which you can do something that has basically any text before or after a colon, something with a cost with an effect. So importantly, we talked, the idea is that I could be mid-run and you can't spend clicks during a run, but I could spend clicklessly trash this to install a program so I can get an imp on the table. This stuff's really important. So I'm going to run the simulchips. We actually might want to run 3 of them. 3 might be greedy, but we have a lot of really good targets here. We can have imps, which we can bring back once they're empty. That's quite nice. We have chisels that we can use to trash ice, bring them back. That's quite nice. We didn't consider Botulus, which definitely should be in this list. This is a virus that gets virus counters that lets you break any ice that this thing is hosted on. So the idea that if you don't find your fractor in the first 10 cards, you still have a way of dealing with barrier ice. These are fantastic. This is the issue where I hit 45 cards and struggle to play a 40 card deck. I don't think I'm going to play Devil Charm because I don't think we're too hard into the chisel stuff. And I don't think we're going to play Cookbook either. I feel like slots are just such an issue. Like these are cards that are nice, but not necessary. So playing a 40 card minimum can be quite hard. Okay, other stuff that we want to consider playing. I think DZMZ Optimizer actually might be worth it. We have a lot of stuff to install that takes up a lot of MU, and this not only gives you that extra memory, but it gives you a cost reduction on installation, which actually can be quite good. So maybe we play 2 of these, and this leaves us with 12 influence left, so we can spend 1 3 influence slot here on something. I don't know what jumps out at us. I think we're going to cut the P-Played voice pad for sure. There's a lot of cleaning up we can do here. So like we need to cut cards. So I'm going to just cut all the things that we put in as placeholders. So we'll cut the Gachapon, we'll cut the prepaid. All this is good. So we still have to cut like 6 cards. This is why I really don't like playing 40 deck minimums, or you end up cutting everything. And here we could play just like, I think a Bravado is fine. It's kind of hard sometimes to put all your influence on one thing like this. Self-modifying code is also a fine card. Echelon in this deck? I don't love Echelon. Like at this point, I think we just make MU for Bagalter if we really needed to. But the idea is like with Botulus, with Chisel, we can probably do enough with the Nidori. What could we cut? Like we just have to start cutting things. Just cut your power. The fastest solution. Another really nice thing you can do is if you go to this check button, this is a card draw simulator, so you can just draw 5. You have to reset it the first time for some reason. But if you draw 5, you can see what your opening hand looks like. And this gives you an idea, just a quick look at what your opening hand would be like. You decide would you mulligan this or not. Looking at this, I would mulligan it. This seems a bit better. Would HQ multi-access be worthwhile in a carnivore deck? Yes and no. MJC, it's a lot of programs it is. We probably want to cut this. I think we could get enough HQ pressure with Imp. I think a really good way to spend our influence might be a Docklands Pass. I love this card. You install it and then for once, and then you have HQ pressure for the whole game, which is pretty good. Maybe the gun is good here. Oh, I actually do like that a fair bit. Revolver. Cut at least 1 Imp. I don't want to cut an Imp. Rob said to cut the Dream Net. I want to keep the Dream Net because I think it's way too cute. 3 simulchips might actually be a bit too much, but Revolver is really kind of nice because it allows us to use our simulchips, break things cheaply. This breaks so many good things in the startup format. 4 strength is like the like normal rate for a lot of the sentries in startup, let alone system gateway. So this breaks most things for 2 credits. That's pretty wild. If you add Docklands, you could cut a jailbreak. Oh yeah, I like that. But we're at influence now. Since you spend people on cards, you have to run. SMC, I thought we're considering SMC, but we already have MU issues. What are your resources for a Dory? I don't know. I don't think we have to have enough resources for a Dory. I think a StreamNet, Ice Carver, Puemo. We technically have 3. Maybe some icebreakers we could cut. Yeah, we could probably. We probably could. We can probably cut a leech. We have an Ice Carver already. We probably could cut 2 leech. How does this deck draw? 2 Earthrise Hotel, a DreamNet. It doesn't have enough draw when it got. I think you're right. It does not have enough draw. So like we could cut Simo chip. 3 Simo chips is a lot for like a diesel. Or 45 cards. With 3 imps, would you consider Demolisher instead? No, I don't like Demolisher at all. The trash cost of each card's lowered by 1. The first time you trash a card. F it. We'll try Demolisher. I've never played Demolisher. I don't like Demolisher. Abstractly, I've way more value the ability from Carnivore to be able to trash cards that don't have a trash cost, as opposed to getting a reduction on things that are trashed. That being said, Demolisher gives you credits when you use Imp. Yeah, whatever. We'll try it. I'm glad to be wrong about this. DZMZ says seems suspect. We have too many programs. I kind of like it. Like we have too many programs, and it's a credit to turn card. We're not even playing Rozeki. Just splash Good Breakers. Like, what's our MU? This gives you 1 MU. Carnivore gives you 1 MU, right? Yeah, so we have 5 MU. This is 6 MU. So you have to kind of plan out what your MU would be. So if we have 1 of each breaker, that's 3. So that we can have an imp on the table at all times, 4. And then like a Stargate 5/6 and a Botchless or a Chisel. So it's a bit of a mix. Keiko's 2 credits for 2 MU. I know Keiko is really good. I just don't want to play another Keiko deck because I feel like anytime that I build an Anarch deck in startup, I just play Keiko. Like this is an issue, is that Keiko is so much money. Keiko is it gives you 2 MU. It installs itself for 2 credits because itself is a companion, and you play the companions anyways because the companions are good. So the idea is like, do you want to throw out a fun, flashy, ability for just 2 credits a turn? The answer is usually yes. But for this stream, I don't want to because I've been doing that too much. Why no Rozeki? Because of MU. And Kevin, I don't like Rozeki. Don't make me do Rozeki. I'll probably play Rozeki. Keiko is way better than Demolisher. That's unarguable. We can't just play Keiko in every Anarch deck. Just imagine all the cards Luke can afford to trash if he has Keiko. That's why I have the imp. Okay, I'm cutting a leech. I hope Ice Carver with Cleaver is enough. Or Ice Carver with Buzzsaw is enough. It probably isn't. Corn. Based on my experience playing Lou, you probably want a 3rd Earthrise. I think you're right. I think we do want more of these. Luckily, we're not playing Carnivore. You could go 1 Carnivore, 1 Demolisher, and let Fate decide. Ooh, I'm kind of into... Nah, because we need the card draw to support that. I think we can cut 1 of these if we put the HQ pressure. We still have too many cards. Andre, you're good enough to win with Carnivore. You should go for it. I'm going to try Demolisher. Pharos and Brand are going to make you sad. For Pharos and Brand, we have Botchless. I'm not too worried about it. And like, I don't think Pharos is that popular. Brand is. Those cost an arm and a leg, yeah. Demolisher's so bad with imp blanking its first line of text. Does it actually? Sort of. Yeah, kind of. But I've never played this. Well, there's still cards with trash costs. Leech seems important. It seems important. Revolver less so. Now we're going up. Do we just play 45 Lou? I feel like I'd be happy playing 45 Lou. Maybe cutting a Liberated. I don't think we'll have enough money if we cut a Liberated. What does this draw like now? Opening hand, we would probably not keep this. This we would definitely keep. We have Sure Gamble. We can Dirty Laundry a central server if we want to. Maybe we trash something, get a card, get credit. We can play an Earthrise, probably draw first. Fantastic. We draw 2 off the Earthrise, and we're kind of in business. I bet you don't install Demolisher. That's how you get me to install Demolisher. There's a reason you've never played it? Yeah, sure, but like whatever. We play a game where it's bad, we just take it out. I like to play 1 Demolisher and 1 400 memory diamond. More MU and extra hand size is okay. I don't value extra hand size a lot, Sarknar. Extra hand size I feel like is very not useful. Unless you're dealing with like specifically punitive Counter-Strike decks or anything that can do 6 damage, which does exist. But then you still have to have 6 cards in hand, so I don't know. It's kind of relevant. It's kind of relevant. Cut Career Fair and Jailbreak, play Dockland, save 2 slots. Career Fair is really good in this deck. With 3 Earthrise, we're very likely to draw Career Fair and a target, I think. Worth it versus Jinteki? I don't think it's worth it for Jinteki. I think it's worth it versus Wayland. Because Jinteki hand size doesn't matter. SFC sounds better than Revolver with Botches and Chisel's options. I don't think so. I think Revolver is really quite good. I think we're just going to harder the cards out. We're going to play 45. Play 45. Change this to Keiko. Let's go. Startup blue a bit too big. Oh, you take a screenshot because sometimes it logs out. Just do 45 right now. I think so. We're going to do 45. We'll see how it plays, and then we can make changes based off of how well or how poorly it plays. Then, if you're on Jinteki.net, if you're playing on Jinteki.net, you can play in person. You go to Netrunner deck. You just loo a bit big, thanks. You change the format to startup. This is actually quite important. Pick your identity. It is what's Lou's first name? René? Yeah. Alphabetical, and you just paste here. Just paste it in. It does it all. And you can do your deck building here if you like. I find it easier in NetRunner because you can filter. Here you have to just know the name of the card. I've been playing Netrunner between rounds of MTG, and I need to put together some startup decks for my friends to play. Oh, MGN. That's sick. I would, if you need to get decks built together, there's like a bunch of people who have put together like dual decks in the format online. Just check Netrunner DB. I think one of them's called like the Crow Project or something. I'm not sure about 2x breakers in a 40 card deck. It's not so much 2x breakers because we have breakers, and then we also have Botulus, and then we also technically have Chisel. So it's a bit more flexible than that. But yeah, I hear you. Yeah, Mutual Favor is also not bad. And make sure you hit this to start up. You don't see a drop down menu, but I'm clicking the format button and it makes a drop down menu. Start it. No, it's the 40 card deck. Hey, Gwen, let's do this. Gwen's been playing a lot of Built to Last. Okay, cool. So this is a really fast matchup. We have an early imp, which is good. Built to Last, we played against Gwen playing Built to Last a fair bit on JNet. Thanks, you too. Oh, that was awful. So a big part of this matchup, and this is just us knowing the matchup, is that she's going to go quite fast. There's a lot of fast advance pieces, so she's going to try and score agendas from hand. So the best thing we can do is be aggressive, get in there, trash cards, trash her fast advance pieces, her biotic labors, her trickle lights. And I think this hand is like good enough. We want to see if she ices up both centrals or not, because we might just do like hedge, sure gamble, demolish, or imp, run central, just to prove Kevin wrong. Early spin doctor, we do need to respect that because we do want to trash that. Because otherwise, anything we trash, you can just shuffle back. And Demolisher is the dream. I know, that's quite good. That's a good start. And we have the killers. The cleaver is a bit of a nightmare once they like install up and advance. What's it called? What's a cat? That's bad. Okay, so we're gonna try and get everything done. This is ugly. Not Pharaohs. Pharaohs is generally too slow for these decks. So she might actually want to shuffle back agendas, so I don't know what to do. Cole, how's it going? Welcome. I don't know whether we install the Demolisher, run Spin Doctor, run HQ. I don't want to install an Imp and then run HQ because the Spin Doctor will shuffle it. But if I install the Imp and then run, I think we here just install Imp, run Server 1, run HQ. I don't think we have time for Demolisher this turn. Kevin, don't. So I'll run Server 1. Threaten this. We'll pay the credits to trash this again. The first time we trash a card, we get a credit and draw. And now we'll run HQ. We just had one too few clicks to get the Demolisher down, but trust you, we will. It's a hedge fund. We'll go ahead and imp that. Good enough. Draw a card, getting credit. I wouldn't have installed Carnivore. What do you want from me? Demolisher has text. We would have gained a credit there. It would have Desperado. Whatever. She's iced up. She had another hedge fund as well. And an upgrade on R&D. Either a Kayambe. I don't know what else that would be. A CVS would be pretty rude. I think we can just face check. I think the nightmare here would be Afshar, but whatever. It's a Tithe. Oh, okay. So that's going to trash the Demolisher. No, it didn't. Fine. We can very easily chisel that if we get there. Breach card, Tricholite, fantastic target. This is something that lets her fast advance. We'll trash that to draw a card. Phenomenal. We'll be gnashing his teeth, wanting Keiko in 5 turns. Stop it. Christian Baby, yeah. Definitely want to install Demolisher. I'm going to... Whatever. All right, we can draw here. We want to get the Earthrise down. Oh, Chisel's fantastic. So Chisel says, when you encounter host dice, 0 strength is less. You guys will not let Chisel Demolisher live, huh? So I don't think we'll play it, actually. We're going to get the Earthrise down for sure. We don't need to pre-install the Chisel. It doesn't get counters at the beginning of turn. But we want to probably Chisel this. Gonna face check that title hits Demolisher. Jesus, take the wheels. I'll just take a credit here. We're gonna draw 2, so next turn we can consider Chisel, Demolisher, run HQ. We just want to get our imps back in circulation. Why don't you install Demolisher yet? You've gotten 2 credits off of it by now. What are you talking about? So you have Cookbook. That's a good point. Career fair and no targets. Okay, phenomenal. Not that we won't get targets later. I don't think I'm going to install the Demolisher because we have the Dirty Laundry here. The issue here is we can't trash a card. Andre for his own stream. Okay, so this gets a counter. It'll trash next time. And unfortunately, Lou only gets value from cards we trash and access. Okay, still in the money. Archer, good to know. I think we saw that last time we played. We need an imp before we install the Demolisher. We'll draw once more when we run HQ. I don't think I'm going to fully go install. We need a way to trash. Oh, that's a nightmare to know. Luckily, Trigger Light needs 2 advancements, so she's going to have to commit to advancing this card again. Kevin, I would have installed Carnivore by now. Honestly, it would have been sick. Okay, we're going to top deck another imp or simul chip. No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, we'll creep fear this down for 3. Okay, now we have our liquidity sorted out. We'll hit this. We'll hit the liquidity button, and then we'll run HQ, and hopefully we find a trashable, because it's so much value for us. It's 2 credits a card, but there's not a lot of trashables in this deck. Like, there's a wall to... What's that Trickle Light again? Definitely would install Keiko by now? No. Honestly, no. But I would have installed Carnivore. Just need to find 3 more. We got a 40-card deck. This Earthrise has been good. So we know she has a Trickle Light. She'll have an Ice down on HQ. We have to respect Archer now. If she reses an Archer into an Imp, like, whatever. The issue is, like, we can't deal with an Archer. We really can't. I've led you astray? No, sorry, Gnard. This is... I also chose to fight this fight. Okay, we're running HQ here. Resin Archer. Your hate makes you powerful. Yeah, that's fine. Resing an Archer and only eating an Imp. Like, Archer is one of the strongest ites. Now, this is where you'd want to, like, chisel into Devil Box. Devil Charm. But this is fine. I don't know. If we Carnivore Trickle Light when it means tossing a breakout, we probably could. Oh, we definitely would have Carnivore to Trickle Light at any cost. Okay, now she's back down to 0. This is probably not Ket. Maybe a Whoredom. Evelyn has arrived to bless your runs. Thank you, Evelyn. I need this, actually, because we haven't triggered Demolisher yet. We've made some bad decisions. Elizabeth Mills is busy at her computer. The orange sunset shining onto the side of her monitor. Suddenly, Lou teleports into her office with a Demolisher in hand. He whispers into her ear, "It's Morbin time." Then smashes the Demolisher into the back of her head and steals off World Office. He only trashes. He doesn't steal, but I think the narrative is otherwise straight on. Chad is being carnivorous today. Oh, boy. This thing is not good. Oh, please don't ice that up. She's not going to ice this up. We're going to run and trash it. We're going to get Demolisher value twice over because it's going to have a trash cost. Imagine that. This is a spin doctor, right? But these 3 Earthrise hotels, you see how good this is? Just like clickless card draw. Oh, that is our answer to Archer. So we're going to start here because if we trash this, we get a card draw. We also have bad publicity, so Demolisher is getting more and more useless as time goes. Of course, it's a spin doctor. We have a simul chip too. Fantastic. We're gonna have to prep this, so we can draw once. We'll install these 2, so we're planning our turn. That's 5 credits, so we can draw once, or we can click for credits. I think we might need to click for credits because we're gonna be down on 3, 4, 5 next turn. No, we don't need to. We can draw once. DZ. Do we install that first? We install the DZ, we go down to 6, then we can just install the Botchels. I'd rather get the daily cast down and it's rolling than really milking the credit per turn. But this is a good way to get through Archer because it doesn't care about strength. Botchels goes on R&D. I don't know. Maybe I think R&D is something we're going to be able to break. Like if it's a Nutcat or whatever. We definitely want to trash ice that has 2 advancements on it, but getting HQ access is like the most important. Just because we need to like imp the Trickle Lights and stuff. But yeah, eventually we'll have to win off of R&D. We made some bad decisions, like installing Demolisher. You said I wouldn't, so I did. What can you res before? Oh yeah, totally. Oh, so it looks like it's a Kayambe on R&D, which is how she's gonna get her 2nd advancement, so she can Trickle Light. 1 HQ access every 3 turns. I know. No, this is quite bad. Boomerang is another very good card you can play in this format, and Boomerang on HQ would actually be sick. I don't undo click. Try that. You can also just do it manually, like res and do the ability on it. Yeah, okay. So this undoes click, so it puts it back to my turn. Wanna res it now? I'll just do this. She can still res it. Yeah, I think you're right. We probably should just give up on HQ. Undo turn would undo my whole turn. Sick. Yeah, so this is Kayambe. This gives her a free advancement, so she can score from hand. But if she does fast advance out here, she's generally going to take 2 cards out of her hand, so she'll still discard a card. but it looks like it's advanced Trickleite. And now we actually probably want to run R&D. So Trickleite lets you to move 2 advancements from a single card to another single card. So she just scores an above the law. Oh no, disgusting. No, that one's bad. The daily cast is the best trash there. Yeah, that's absolutely destroyed there. So this lets you trash a resource. We just threw 8 credits on the drain. That's rough. Order here doesn't matter. Wow, this is quite bad, y'all. This is quite bad. I wonder if we just use this for fodder to get an imp back, but I feel like our deck is really struggling. What could we possibly draw into with Diesel? A Dirty Laundry would be playable. That is brutal. What do we do here? How do we pivot? Just saying under Keiko's more synergy with Pemwa than... yeah. 2 credits a turn's good. Put some Demolish in deck. I feel like his deck is struggling. It's probably we deliberated, honestly. Money up and start hitting R&D? I think so. But like, we're not installing a breaker first. I just don't know what... I think like our deck is so dependent on getting an imp. We want to money up at least once because if we run R&D, we want to trash this. So we're going to force a res here, but she has 13 credits. Like she can res her Akhet for 2 after the refund. Yeah. Luckily we cleave through this for bad publicity. So she gets an advancement, so she can advance this card. It's going to cut us worth it. Force res? Yeah, for sure. I think we should have put down our cleaver first, though, because we wasted a click. And we gave her value. We could have kept her off. Oh. It's actually pretty bad to advance this card, because you can't advance it a second time, let alone this had synergy with Kayambe Grid, so I think that's a goof. You want to advance this card. So if we install the cleaver down to 4, we break it for 1, so we can still trash this. I'm going to do it, because then we get Demolisher value. And we're going to see an Atlas on the top of the deck. But yeah, we probably should install this first. We're pretty confident. Like, there's not a lot of advanceable ice in startup. You'll learn this. It's Akhet, it's Hordem, it's Pharos. I think that's it. Ice Wall. Yeah, if she advanced this, it's closer to 5 strength. But she might just advance it next turn, then we're in a really bad spot. So this is the bad publicity, which leaves us to trash here. So we'll do pay 0, end the run. That's a weird prompt. Told you. Pay 2 to trash because of Demolisher drawn to a sure gamble. I feel like we might be unstoppable. I feel like we're just kind of a really big deal this console here. Maybe she just wants to be able to advance this herself to get credits, but that's not better than clicking for credit. So probably looking for something to dig up R&D. Never didn't have it. Yeah, and now we have a play where we have sure gamble. We're drawing 2 more cards. Demolisher has given us a credit and saved the credits, 2 credits. And remote server, okay. So more likely to be code gate. If she reses an archer to trash the Demolisher, do we care? No. No, we don't care. We have Simulchip. Ooh, another Earthrise. Okay, so I think we want to force the res here. If it's a Hordem, it's a bit ugly. If it's a Hordem, it's ugly anyways because the Buzzsaw. We could technically Simulchip and then have that as a threat so we can move over, what's it called? This might be a wall-to-wall. I do think, from what we've seen, Gwen does try to score in a remote server more than I think that I'd expect. This gives us like flexibility. I'm assuming it's a Hordem. Yeah, I'd advance it 3 times right then. I think I would too. So here, if we had a cookbook, we could instantly destroy this. Run HQ. I don't think we want to just yet. We can do it next turn if we need to. But here, I think we're actually going to trash the Botulus to install another Botulus here. But if we were smarter and had a cookbook, we could Botulus and trash this. I forget how much 1 strength stuff there is. So we'll use Simulchip, which forces us to trash a program. So luckily we can trash that. Let's install a Botulus here. It's a pretty bad install considering the Buzzsaw will deal with it, but it lets us get through 1 here and use our Demolisher. We have to use our Demolisher. Look. It's probably Malapert. I think it's more likely to be a wall-to-wall. Small chance of being an agenda too. Do you see? I think we played enough against Gwen that we know that she does push out into the remote server a fair bit. But unfortunately, we didn't trash something there, so I think we're actually upset about that. Yeah, this is not the greatest target, but we have another Simulchip, so we can use that for an imp, run R&D. Did you already have a program in Heap? We did. We did. We had an imp and a cleaver and a leech and a chisel. Projal to wall. All right, there it goes. That's fine. Again, we can deal with most stuff. Sentries are a bit of an issue, but there's not a lot of sentries that I think she's playing besides the archer. No, you totally. No, you can do that. No, it's all good. That's legit. So you saw there, and it's an important thing to know. When you install any amount of ice into a server, you can trash any amount of existing ice in the server. You do have to keep the order relative, so you can't like rearrange the ice. So you always install outermost. But you saw that she installed here to trash. Now that saves her a credit. It saves her a credit to trash the ice. So that's actually kind of maybe correct. Now, 1 credit might not matter too much, but it also trashes our botulus, so it's harder for us to use a simul chip, which we would have actually considered doing. All right, we're gonna diesel into a dirty laundry or an imp. So good at this. Imp. Now we can run R&D for free on bad publicity, get some value off Demolisher. What's happening here? Continue the movement. Breach server. Trickle Light gets imped again. We draw a card. It's an ice carver, which, that's our cookbook that we need to be able to deal with stuff. And then here, what do we want to put down? It's either money or card draw. I feel like we have our card draw kind of set up a bit. Money's kind of an issue, but we're actually not spending a lot of money. So maybe it's card draw. Puemo would have been worth installing a while ago, but hey, what can you do? Ice Carver. How does the Ice Carver matter? It makes this into 4 strength, which saves us 2 credits per run. That's kind of good. I'm going to go throw out the wrong card. I'm throwing out Puemo. We're anti-Keiko. We have un-Keiko'd. We are going as far in the anti-Keiko direction. She might be thinking that the server ceases to exist once the ice is trashed. Oh, maybe. It technically doesn't. But it kind of feels like it does. Yeah, there you go. That's correct. And now we can't break both of these. So she's always going to gain a credit and place an advancement, which is important because now Trickle Light is even better. So she addressed that quite properly. Okay, money's an issue. Luckily, we have liberated. I forgot that if we got the 6 credits, there's not much we can do. There's 5 cards in archives. I don't think we know what any of those are. Besides, no, we don't know any of those. So what can we do here? If we want to cleave through this again, now we have to do 2, 4, 5 credits. So 4 after bad publicity. That with the jailbreak, we get 2 credits back and 2 card draw, which is actually kind of wild. I think we might be able to take a turn off here right now because we've seen all 3 Trickle Light. Didn't we see 3 Trickle Light? We have to play this. And it's either the Ice Carver or the Daily Cast. I value the Daily Casts. We're likely to draw into a Dirty Laundry or a Sure Gamble off this draw here, which will give us a bit more money we need. Oh, she spinned it back. Right. Okay. So we saw 3, but that second spin doctor brought it back. I forgot. Liberated Archives money up. I'm not too excited about running Archives. I'm more worried about letting this sort of thing happen. So this is a barrier sentry, and this could be, again, this easily could be another archer. But if she forfeits a 3-2 for an archer, like I don't think we mind. Stargate. That's also relevant. Okay, so things we can do. We lost our leech. We only have 2 simul chips. I'd actually love to have more simul chips in this deck. So we can Dirty Laundry Archives. We can get down the Buzzsaw. Get down the Ice Carver. Run server 6, because if it's a Whoredom here on server 1, it saves us our money. Orange Saya would be cool? What do you mean? Oh, 2 credits, right. We're on R&D. I see what you mean. All right, let's go check what this is. There's no traps in archives that like really dampen our day. Malapur Data Vault, 2 more Kayambes, a second Archer, and an Akhet. Okay. Sometimes it's hard to install the Akhet into the Cleaver. I get that. So we definitely want to get down the Buzzsaw. Do we want to run here with 6 credits and bad publicity? Is it better to hit the Ice Carver or to hit the 4 credits off the Liberated? I feel like the 4 credits off Liberated is probably a bit safer here. And we're just going to check the remote server. Again, if it's an Archer, it's a bit ugly. That is our last Cleaver. Okay, so this is where like the Ice Carver gets quite good because we're going to spend 4 to break this. If we put the Ice Carver, it would have broken itself. But this is 4 strength. So we boost once. So once we get our Ice Carver, we break this down for bad publicity, which is sick. Here they can't res. She can't res another Whoredom, so it has to be an Ice Wall and a Cat. We break that for 1. And we have an Imp. Or we can steal the agenda. My money's on agenda here. That's a wall to wall. Okay. So we either imp it or trash it for 2. If we imp it, we no longer have an imp. If we trash it for 2, we gain 2 back. I'm going to trash it for 2. We could have imped it to make it like a real economy card, but it actually does sound attractive. And here the issue is, do we Stargate or do we not Stargate? Stargate's awkward because you're not accessing the card that you're trashing, so it doesn't actually trigger lose ability. It's a bit, you know, finicky. The revolver largely deals with Archer once for like 4 credits. That's not the worst. She has not a lot of credits. She needs to top deck what's it called? Hostile or bust, really. Ooh, I don't know what we throw out here. The Ice Carver is worth its weight for sure. It saves 2 on here, 3 on here. It's either Demolish or Stargate. I feel like, can we win without a Stargate? I don't know what the right discard is here. I don't know what y'all think. The Jailbreak is like nice. Stargate is the win con. It probably is a better win con than Jailbreak. Yeah, okay. We'll press the inevitability. Stargate, win this for you. We're still going to need 2 agendas, but yeah, maybe we Stargate so we see where 2 agendas are, but Botchless seems unnecessary. Botchless is really good against the Outcat. It runs the Outcat once for free. Oh, she does have it. Oh, she had it. That's the best card there to get back in the game. And now Archer's not the worst res, but 2 bad publicity is a big deal for us. Okay, 2 bad publicity means that we can now break this for 1 credit, so the Botchless is not as relevant as long as we install the Ice Carver. So we're going to start there. So we can run R&D. She will get a credit and an advancement. The advancement kind of matters because it means that she can start fast advancing out if she has a last trick light. Not that relevant. I think we're just going to go for it. And then we'll use this to recur the imp. Do we install the Stargate first? I don't think we use the Stargate here. I think we just want to get our Lou ability. Drop Botulus. Like on this, I think now that it's only 1 credit for us to break, I don't want to. But I don't know what else we'd put it on. I'd rather have Botulus for the Panic Remote. I'll just go here so we imp something and see what we draw. Stargate's too good, even if you have to give them Outcat money. Oh, for sure, but I even think giving them Outcat money, like when they're a 9 to 10, it's not a big difference. So now is this 4 strength. So we match break 1 subroutine. We can't break both, so she can trigger the other subroutine. I don't know if we Stargate there. I want to get her ability, and then we can come back and Stargate. Ah, I don't think we imp that. We'll pay 1 to trash it, gain 2, draw a card. No career fair target. A dream net would also be kind of nice. Too many cards in hand. I think we run back. This is the first time? Damn. Demolish your profit? Yo, it's been so good. You don't need Keiko. What are you talking about? We can imp this. It's a wall to wall. I think we will imp that. Oh, that doesn't give us value. I forgot that doesn't give us value. It's only first time a turn. That's embarrassing. We'll just hit this button. And now we have way too many cards in hand. The DZ doesn't stick. We're drawing a wee bit. We have 1 more liberated accounts. We have 1 more daily cast. No more Earthrise. The Career Fair is still 3 credits in here. Demolisher works with Stargate. That I forgot about. That's actually cute. Oh, man. Yeah, we have to get rid of this. That's unfortunate. Literally better than Lou. We also trashed the card on R&D, so we don't know what she's drawing, which is a bit unfortunate. Wait, does she have another trick? Oh, she has a last trick. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, we really need the Stargate. The thing is that we allowed her to put advances on the Archer. If she had to like trick a light off the Outcat, we'd be really embarrassed. Yeah, Kevin, I totally forgot. I don't like that trash either, that she could draw a new card. She either drew the agenda or the trick a light, so I think that was wrong. Locking the top of R&D is incredibly valuable. We have a simul chip, so I'm not going to trash the imp when I install the Stargate. Oh, we'll hit the Stargate button. Yeah, I think that trash is wrong. We're totally fine with her drawing that. Let him Broken Fire. Oh, we win. Phenomenal. We don't have to trash anything. All right, we got there. Woo! Yeah, the Stargate also would have given us more control over the game, just in general. I think this is GG. Yeah, it would just given us more control so we could actually make sure that she doesn't win the game or a fast advance. But hey, that's 2 agendas in a row. It's been Doctor breaks R&D lock on 2 separate turns, though. I didn't pay enough attention whether we were like breaking lock or not, or allowing her to see lock. So we'll just run archives here. And Demolisher gave us like 5 or 6 credits. Hey, good game. All right. Credits gained 46 to 106. That is mostly Demolisher credits. That number is wrong. What is happening? Why does JNet think we made 106 credits? We did not make 106 credits in 13 turns, did we? Oh, no way. That's dope. I didn't put it together. Oh, bad publicity, 100%. Because every run we were making 2 credits. Yeah, that's the only reason that number's so inflated. I remember you playing a fair bit of Fast Advance BTL. How do you find it compared to yours? Yeah, totally. I forgot to cancel bad publicity. So every run where we get the credits that are not added to a credit pool, but we can't keep after the run, that's where that number goes like buck wild. And we made a fair bit. Like we were running with 2 bad pub for like 5-6 turns. Demolisher is great. You have to review the VOD to see how much credits we got off the Demolisher and how many credits we saved off the Demolisher. But honestly, it didn't feel terrible. And I feel like we did technically have, I don't think we had the card draw to support them all. Did you not make it? I thought this was the one you made it. Oh, sure. Yeah, I did. I thought I saw you playing BTL earlier, like before last week even. Yeah, it counts bad pub no matter what. We did also lose a full daily cast to the above the lot, which was like really, really well timed. Yeah, how does this and your BTL compare? I'm not sure the differences. Demolisher meta for Worlds. Yeah, so I talked about this card. Like this card is technically an economy card, but the issue is that there's better console economy cards in Anarch. The Keiko, Puemo, and Friends. It's just kind of busted to some extent. And then the other console, Carnivore, gives you a unique ability where every turn you can get your ability to fire, which I value more again than the worst of 2 economy options. Carnivore would have been better, I think. Yeah, probably. It gives us teeth, like pun intended, on as soon as turn 1, turn 2. That being said, like we did struggle with card draw. We didn't see our dream net. We could play more of them into the deck. This is Azza, which I don't usually play in Trickle 8 rather than Seamless on Desi. Oh, right. Standard. That tracks. Cool. Big game, Gwen. Next game. Always a pleasure. Right. Yeah, I think that's about, it's 11:34. I don't think we have time for doing another one. We might do a bit of a shorter stream today. It's a good weekend. It's my birthday we're celebrating on Sunday. I am 31 years old. Not a lot of families in town right now, so we're still gonna have a nice time. I think Maddie's making a cake. I'm really excited for it. Carnivore would trash a Trigger Light and maybe a Seamless or Hedge Fund, not too much else. Yeah, but sometimes you'll just trigger Carnivore to be able to like draw through. Happy birthday. Thank you, Guy. Happy birthday, Anders. Thank you. It's technically bad luck in Slovenian culture to say happy birthday before a birthday. I'm just saying, you're just kind of ruining it. I'm cursed. You're cursing me. It's also Pat's birthday 3 days after. So you can curse him all you want. It's on the 15th, which is like what, Wednesday? You look so young. Thank you. I'm an old grizzled man, I suppose. How's it going, Austin Intelligence? Enjoy demolishing that cake. I will. Again, I'm gonna say it here at the end. I don't know how many people watch all the way to the end of the VOD, but if you are new to this game, basically you've been getting into System Gateway, you've been getting into to the Shut Up and Sit Down videos, say hello, either make a comment, obviously in the chat, say hi, not only to meet people, to ask, but the most important thing is also to ask questions. There's a lot of really wild questions you probably have about like best practices or just not understanding how things work. Don't hesitate to ask questions on this channel too. If you want to get into it, we have a couple good videos that I think are pretty good for maybe players who are newer to the game. We have a whole review series of System Gateway stuff, so we talk about all the System Gateway cards. It's all here on the front page, and underneath that, Netrunner tips. I think these are pretty well. I think I'm actually going to make like a featured video here on the front page that shows one of these. I think the 7 tips is probably the most on meta or whatever. Happy birth, Pat. So just say hi again. It's quite important. Green Level Clearance Discord plug, of course, Elwin, always. I think those are linked in those videos as well. Also nearthub.net, we'll get you there. But that's it. Love your content. Hey, JK Lawlings, thank you. Appreciate it. On that note too, like a big thing is if you're new to the game and you want to see a certain type of content that doesn't exist, there's other channels that are doing great content as well. You Sangren SC, Sokka streams on Fridays as well. Do check all that stuff out. But let us know because we can try and help you out. I think that's it. Thanks everyone for hanging out. We'll see you at Worlds, but maybe we'll see you next week before that. Huge shout out to everyone hanging out in chat. Hopefully you have a good time. If you're having the VOD watched, hopefully you're doing well as well. And I think that's it. We'll see you all in a week.